Okay.
Alright, enough of that.
We started?
Yeah.
This shit's real?
That shit is.
Nice. Hello. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 as well. And you're probably thinking, Season 2, Episode 1, what the hell are you talking about? We are live. Well, welcome to Planet Earth. You probably, maybe you probably haven't, but it'd be nice to think that you have listened to the first 6 episodes of this podcast. And what we decided to do, take a Christmas break, come back and break it up into seasons of 6 episodes with a different focus. So we're just kind of refining the podcast as we go. As I say, it's just a group of grumbling old grumpy white guys talking about their hobby and history and stuff. And listen, don't listen. It'd be nice if you listened or watched, but hey, you know.
Cycle for us.
Yeah, so before I go into a bit more of what we're doing, just welcome the gang back. I'm glad I say gang back and not gang bang. But so we got the usual cast of heroes. Who we got? We got Derek and Kevin.
Down.
I don't. Everyone's different. Kevin, unfortunately, still with his Chelsea flag, still there. We have to burn that. Then above him, to me, is Evan.
No.
Yay!
Evan's over here.
Or I'm saying it's from my point of view. I don't know where he is on the actual screen.
I'll point. You say the names.
Okay, and then we've got Matt to his right, or probably to Derek's upper right. I'm top right, and then I have to my left, which probably is going to be Sean, one-arm Sean.
Sean, you got it.
Awesome, and Sean, you can see.
Bunch, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah. And Sean, you can tell this guy's arm in a sling, and that's because he's just been going to too many tournaments in 2023. Needs to take time out.
Throwing too many dice.
Too many dice rolling.
Yeah. Lots of dice rolling.
Well, it's good to have you guys back. You have a good holidays?
Yeah, mine was.
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Right?
Yep. Perfect. Did Santa bring you what you wanted?
Yeah, I got a new computer. This shit's it's all smooth now. It's it's not clogging down. Everything's running smoothly.
And did anybody get any hobby stuff for Christmas?
My wife doesn't buy hobby stuff.
Place my airbrush.
Well, you can buy your own hobby stuff and have her wrap it for you.
Yeah.
I got the Canadian the pack that's got the flamethrower in it. I forget what it's called now.
The Wasp?
Support
pack, yeah.
Oh.
Canadian support pack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Okay, well, that's good to hear. So, Season 2, what are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to be continuing to focus on bolt action. That's going to be in all 6 episodes, and we will be talking about different elements, different rules. Like tonight, we're talking about flamethrowers. So there'll be other things that we'll talk about, and you'll hear that in the show. And then we've also got Waterloo, which Sean will be ecstatic about, because we've been talking about doing this for about a year. And the rest of us. And have no flamethrowers, but we have lots and lots of soldiers. So we'll be covering a bit of Waterloo as well, and so we'll see how it goes. When we look at Season 3, which will be after a summer break, we're going to be focusing on Western Desert, the Western Desert campaign, and not only will we be playing games, but we will also be talking about history and the historical element, the background to that scenario, that army, and so we'll go through that journey, and hopefully you'll go through that journey with us and have fun. So, this evening's show is going to be talking about our events calendar, which Sean will take us through. We've got Operation Catapult Debrief, which was a tournament that we ran at Tista Minis last year, and then we've got Flamethrowers. We've got another interview with Andrew Viticchio, who is the boss man of Adepticon Combat Patrol and doubles with Chicago Dice. So we'll talk about that interview, and then our hobby plans. So we've got quite a lot in this podcast, and a lot to talk about, which is great. So I'm going to jump over. Unless, Derek, you got anything that you're looking forward to?
No,
in
I'm
this?
looking forward to just doing this. I'm glad we're all back together, and not that
Yeah.
we were apart, we were all hanging out anyways, but actually on the podcast rolling. It's, season 2, maybe we'll be a little smoother, a little bit more together, and maybe, almost professional.
Never catch on. Never catch on.
Okay, so let's go to Sean, who will take us through the current 2024 events calendar.
Radio, and you chose me because I don't get to go to anything, I guess. But
That's right.
You can still drink.
first up here is going to be No Man's Land. That's going to be at the end of the month, all the way at Critical Hit in Oshawa. Critical Hit in Oshawa is famous for its excellent coffee. They have their own roaster there.
Yep.
And their excellent beers. They have craft beer going on at the same time.
They
And
do.
not a bad. They're also infamous for the lack of lighting upstairs. Maybe one day
That is also
there's
true.
upstairs, but that's about it. So this one we don't know the rules for yet. I understand it's only 8 tables.
I believe so, yeah.
Which is the whole upstairs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But
So-
apparently, they're also running a Shatterpoint tournament at the same time. So that's why it's
I would,
18.
I told
I
him.
would be there playing something if I could.
I think it's, I just got confirmation, I believe it's going to be Juggernaut rules. The Juggernaut rules podcast rule set. So,
All right.
Yeah, I've got it right here. Will be Juggernaut rules for sure, along with Flame Tanks, 1,000 points, 12 dice max, and 2 hours per game, hopefully. But that is give or take because they're still confirming with the store owner to make sure that they can get those round times in.
you can't play 1,000 points in two hours.
I'm just telling you.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, it's a good group, good location, good, good guys over there, but 2 hours is tight.
Yeah, you're looking at probably getting 3 or 4, so plan to do the massive rush at turn 3 or turn 4. You probably won't get to turn 5.
Or just get your points in early. Just plan for it.
Yep.
All access probably why it's 12 dice. Low cap. Mostly veteran.
That's true. Next up will be February 24th. This is about the time this swing comes off, but I don't think I'll be going to this one either. This one's in Oshawa again. Over the Top Gaming is a place I don't think I've been to.
So, over the top. Go ahead, Joe.
They're going to use Juggernaut rules as well, though, so that's good.
Yeah, so Over the Top Gaming is a YouTube channel, and that's Pat Hamill, who runs that channel, which we had on our show, on our podcast, where he talked about his channel and how he got into it and such. And this is his tournament that he's running. It's at a different it's at a separate location that he's hired out, and his intent is to record. I don't know if it's stream, but it's definitely record 3 of the battles. So there'll be a game recorded each round for his channel.
That's nice. Well, let's support him in that.
Definitely.
Such a weird price entry fee for that one. $22.13.
It's because he's
I think that must be with tax or something weird. But yeah,
I looked at it and was like, okay.
Plus, he's got a venue. He's got 20 players, so he's done some math and he knows what he needs.
yeah. I think it'll be really good. I really would love to go to this. Want to support Pat. Just to go to a different tournament. The only problem for me is my wife might be going. He's got surgery booked for February the 13th. So, and she's meant to be out of it for like 2 months. So I'm hoping to be able to do it. We'll see if she's so lucid that actually I can sneak off and she doesn't notice.
When does your daughter drive? How old is she now? She's not quite driving yet.
She's 16, but she's not really taking an interest in driving at the moment. So
They're sad kids
To help your gaming career if she took an interest in driving.
Yes.
I know, right?
I'm gonna see what I can do just to support Pat about getting out there on a Saturday. Saturdays are hard to me because I got to shut the store down for at least half a day.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too. Got to support Pat. Got to support local producers of content.
Yeah.
Then,
Any-
then we get March. March is just before Adepticon. This is just a casual day. It's just going to be a scenario type deal. Again, it's a critical hit, so it's worth going just for the good venue. Not a lot of details of that one yet, other than it's $20 to play a game of something.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they're playing on tables that are D-Day tape. Like there's a beach table and breakout table and stuff. So again, if it wasn't for Adepticon, I probably would go to this just to play something different. That's not a tournament. That's a themed scenario day kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Scenarios would be fun.
And
Yeah,
March
so-
is a write off with me just because of Adepticon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck to those guys. I hope it goes well. I'd love to be there.
The right year to do D-Day as well.
Yeah. The next one is after Adepticon. It's an interesting format, the Recce Rumble. It's called Brawl in the Hall, hosted by the D6 Dodgers. I'm going to be at SBT Comics and Games.
That's
It's
Kingston.
Infantry on April 7th.
So that one's in Kingston. Again, I know if it wasn't for Adepticon, I think that I would probably go to this because it's the Snafu guys rule set, which is, I think it's like 750 points, no tanks. There's special rules for vehicles like transport carriers, and it is more like a recon platoon kind of game. It's supposed to be very fast and different. And I would love to play the game.
What is the drive out to Kingston? Is that 2 hours? 3?
It was with stops. It was 3 hours, but actually, and I did it on my own. Went out there last time, but actually, it's when you put a podcast on or whatever, it just goes by. Right? It doesn't feel like
because it's a
3 hours
Sunday. I
wasn't
don't
that
mind
long.
getting up at like 5 or 6 and getting out the door and going to this and coming back. But like you're right, it's not even 2 weeks after, but it's a Sunday event, and I want to support the Sundays so that there's more Sundays because it's easier for me. But
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if I can swing it by the wife, I might just make a one day instead of spending the night or something. Just zip out there and zip back.
What I did was the one day. I didn't stay overnight in the end, and it was actually it was fine. Like it didn't feel too long. I wasn't exhausted when I got back. So
Yeah, it's like right at the cusp of staying over type thing because that's 6 hours travel around time. But you're also going through Toronto at the low.
I had no traffic going in the morning and nothing coming back.
Like at night,
Not really.
you're way outside of the regular traffic, so that might be an option. But like you said, April 7th. That's what, not even 2 weeks after Adepticon, or exactly 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Well, the next one, you guys don't have any excuses. This is April 27th. This is ours at Tistamini's in Hamilton, so 10 minutes from your houses. It's a doubles tournament, 1,400 points, 15 dice. We're only there'll be 10 teams.
Yeah.
So that's just on the 27th. It's $25 a player, includes pizza and pop, so $50 a team. So yeah, April 27th at Tista for a doubles, and that'll be right after playing doubles at Adepticon.
I'm thinking we should drop that to 14 dice, and then we can use the same fucking list. Oh, there goes our G rating.
Yeah, thanks.
So we can let them fly now.
Yeah.
It's
GPA,
probably
I might convince Craig to drop that to 14 so we don't have to adjust our lists after Adepticon and everything's all painted and nice.
Well, Adepticon is 15 dice though.
No, I thought it was 14.
Yeah, it is. It's 15.
It's 15. It was 16 last year, and it's 15.
Yeah, it's 15 now.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I might have to use my Adepticon list.
Then it will be 15 dice, and I won't try to get it changed.
Yeah, no. And for people, a couple of things. One is I think that you'll hear more about it when we talk about it in the interview with Andrew.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we are basically stealing, borrowing, begging the rules from Chicago Dice from Adepticon for this.
Yeah.
And thirdly, in my personal opinion, I think doubles is one of the best ways to play bolt action. It's so much fun. And the way that the rules are made and the missions are made, that you have to work with your teammate. But if everything goes wrong, the fact that you can have fun blaming it on your teammate, I think is one of the great things about it.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So
do you,
that's the event calendar to the end of April, anyways.
yeah, so there is one more to go on there next time, which we'll go in next time, which when there's more details, which is the CTC in Ottawa on May 24th. And that's run again by D6 Dodgers, and is going to be, it's a 2-day tournament. And if it wasn't for the fact it's my daughter's birthday, I would be there with bells on. So
she's 16 already.
I might head to that.
She's not going to want you around anyway.
yeah, I'm just in my room. Well, I'll ask her. I think it's probably unlikely, but
you can ask her, but it's not her decision.
Doesn't she want a weekend in Ottawa though?
Ooh, that's a good idea. I have to try that. See if I could take the family to Ottawa for a weekend.
And disappear for all of it.
Yeah. So that's a 2-day event. I'm not sure what the rules will be for that, but it's well supported. Good prizes and such, and it's kind of currently the largest bolt action tournament in Ontario. So, or at least East Ontario until we get ours up and running. We'll do West Ontario. We're Central Ontario, right?
Yeah.
So,
Toronto, we're like center of the universe.
That's right. We are. I was going to say, where was it? The Star Wars planet in the middle of the universe.
Tatooine.
No, that's not in the center of the universe.
That's the one everybody goes back to.
Coruscant. Toronto is Coruscant. That's right. We're on Coruscant before it gets blown up. So, cool.
Which is what the rest of Canada wants to do.
yeah. Oh dear.
My Western brothers listening, they'll understand that.
Yeah. Right. So there'll be. Thanks, Sean, for that overview, and there will be more events coming, and we'll put them up, and we will be talking about the 2-day GT that we're running in September. So yeah, let's pay attention, listen up, keep your ear to the ground. So yeah, cool. I think I've been talking a lot now, so I think it's going to be over to Derek.
Yeah, we're going to discuss, do our tactical focus on flamethrowers this time. So unlike Mortar's last time, I should have went through the rules a little bit more, but I'm going to do it this time, just so we're all on the same page, which would be 67 of the main rule book. There is a couple of FAQs for page 67 and 68, but it's just kind of cleaning up the wording. It doesn't really change the outcome. Although there is one FAQ that does change the outcome for this, but I'll deal with that in a moment. So page 67, flamethrowers. Your 2-hit is like all weapons, starts on a 3. Interesting thing about flamethrowers is they've got a 6-inch range, so you're 2+ at 3 inches and 3+ at 6 inches. The reason being, even though 3 to 6 would be its long range, it's still point blank, so you're -1 for long range, +1 for point blank. Whereas at 3 inches, you're 2+, which is -1 for point blank or +1 for point blank. You ignore all cover and down modifiers and gun shields, like anything that would protect somebody, because when the flames are coming, not much stopping you. When you're shooting at vehicles, you don't suffer the -1 pen if you're between 3 to 6 inches, which would be long range for most, like, I was going to say bazookas, but they got shaped heads, but like AT guns that are shooting vehicles over their, in the long range area, is you usually get -1 to your pen. Flamethrowers, because they don't use kinetic energy, do not suffer that. If you hit, you roll a d6, d6 +1 for a vehicle, and that's how many hits you get to roll damage on. So you roll to hit, and then you roll to see how many times you hit. So your damage is based on your hits. Which case it's a normal, 3+ kills in experience, 4, 5 for veterans, etc. Pins, you get 1 for hitting and D3 for the unbridled terror of being hit by such a devastating weapon. So it's D3 plus 1 pins. This is something that I had to dig into, and as far as I can tell, this is the way it seems that 80% of the people are playing. Your morale is made, regardless of casualties taken, only once, not twice. So when you read the rules, it can be read in a roundabout way that you would take 2 morale tests. First being for the fact that you're hit by a flamethrower. Second for the 50% casualties if you took more than 50% casualties. But in fact, it looks like the way everybody's reading it, or most sane people are reading it, is once you've done your hits, you've applied the pins, regardless of the number of casualties you've taken, meaning if you haven't taken 50%, you still roll immediately to see if your platoon runs away.
Do you ever do them just more than once in the same phase?
No,
If you
and
put
I
a
think
platoon
that's
in,
you can't re-roll a re-roll. I think it comes down to that. Like Tiger Fear is another example. Even if you have no pins, if you're trying to assault a tank that has Tiger Fear, you still have to roll. But you don't roll if you have pins, and then you don't roll to do it and then roll to do your order because you had pins. Like it's just one order, so that's what everybody's kind of basing.
what about you put out a platoon of 10? They
Yeah.
get shot reduced to 5. Another dice comes out of the bag. They get shot reduced to 2. Is that 2 morale tests? I think it might be.
No, because you went from 10 to 5, which would be half. That's 1 morale test, and then if you only lose 2, you're left with 3, so that's less than half.
I
If
said to 2.
I thought you meant take 2. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
another shot. If the same platoon
a-
shot them, no.
Yeah.
And by that I mean if you got a flamethrower in an engineering unit, the flamethrower hits, you make the morale roll, and then you shoot all the rifles. You don't get another roll.
Yeah.
Because if you took off a couple more guys, that reduces.
You only take 1 morale check,
1 morale check.
either for 50% or for the flamethrower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Makes sense.
Which is always going to be the flamethrower overrides the 50%.
Pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah. Okay.
And you're not going to want them making a morale test until you do your flamethrowers D3, because it's going to put the one that's going to put all the pins. And that's the other interesting thing too. You get 1 for being hit, and then you get D3 for the flamethrower. So it's not D3 plus 1 from the flamethrower. If the flamethrower is embedded in a platoon of engineers and they shoot, it's not D3 plus 2. It's 1 for being hit by this platoon. Whether the rifles are doing the hitting or the flamethrower or both, it's still
Right.
1
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
being hit, D3 extra for the flamethrower hitting.
Yeah.
Once you're finished all of that, the flamethrower has to roll a die to see if it's still got fuel. On a 1, it's empty, at which point you remove the flamethrower team. If it's an individual team of 2 men, they're removed. If it's an engineer, a flamethrower in an engineer platoon, just that flamethrower guy is removed at that point. And the last thing is, if you're a vehicle flamethrower, you suffer +1 pen if you're hit by anything that's shooting at you that can pen you. So once it comes to pen, say you're shot by a light anti-tank, I think they're +2 pen, it would be +3 pen, because you got volatile liquids attached to you. And there's a couple of vehicles like the Churchill Crocodile and the Sherman Crocodile that have a special tank. They don't affect that, but like the T-34, the OT-34, is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah, so
And then the British Wasp.
The British Wasp, the Matilda Frog, they have
Mhm.
the flame tanks, and the flame tanks in the tanks. The volatile fuel is in a tank in the tank, which is why you suffer the extra +1 pen, because it's taking into account that if you hit that area of the tank, there's an increased chance that that tank's going to go up. So those are all the rules. And then there's you get into the Army specific units. And
Just a couple of things there to add to what your overview is.
Yeah.
One, there's a +3 penetration for the flamethrower. So if you are veteran, you are taking it on 2s,
Yeah.
right? So basically everything's dead on a 2+.
Yeah.
So you've got that.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you are flaming a vehicle, of course it says it's on the top armor.
Yes.
And I think top armor is the same as rear, right? Rear armor?
No,
Or
side.
side.
Because side
It's side, is it?
Side is
Okay.
1, rear is 2, so top armor is
So you'll get +3 plus the fact that it's top armor, which is what? 1 + 2, whatever that. So your penetration against the vehicle is +5,
Yeah.
which is pretty nasty, especially if you get more than one hit on it.
No, you only get the 1 for the top armor. You don't get an extra.
No, you get 3 +3 penetration for a flamethrower,
Yeah.
right?
And then
And
hitting the
if
top
top
armor is
armor
+1.
is side or rear, I can't remember which.
Yeah, it's side, I think. Yeah.
So if it's side, you get an additional +1
Yeah.
because it's side armor. So that's +4.
Yeah, you said 5. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, because I was assuming that top armor was rear,
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
which I'm not sure where it's got to say what top armor is.
Yeah,
Because
I've got it open, Greg. Top armor's +1.
Yeah, that's what.
it's like, okay, so use a +4 penetration.
Yeah.
And if it's open topped, that's another +1. So,
If it's open top, it's going away.
yeah,
Most
so
open top
pretty nasty
vehicles
against
are
vehicle.
6s or 7s, so you're looking at +3, +4, +5.
So against the Tiger, you need a 5, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. I think it's for British anyway. It's pretty good. Like because I know they don't have Pierce and
They should make Jeeps
Right.
open top.
sorry.
They should make Jeeps open top.
Well, they're soft skin, which is
Same different. Yeah.
Okay.
same.
I don't care. I still want to shoot them.
So these so there's generic and then there's some special ones
sorry.
out there.
2 last things. Sorry to interrupt you again. Sorry, just 2 last things, which is from the to remember. Stubborn troops take their morale test on because they're stubborn on their natural morale.
And this is what I
So
was
if
saying
the
about the FAQ
veteran is
change.
10, then you take a test on a 10.
Yeah, and
Because that's
the controversial FAQ that I was saying that didn't include in the flamethrowers, but it was under the fanatics rule. Fanatics that are hit by a flamethrower don't need to make a test.
which to me is nuts.
Well,
But
that's the controversial rule that I'm just saying that the new FAQ changed it so that fanatics, they just watch their friends burn to a crisp and carry on doing whatever they were doing.
yeah, cool. Okay, so now you can go.
No, there's one more thing.
Oh, one more thing. Okay.
Because, I mean, we're talking about
Oh, good.
my biggest pet peeve with the flamethrower is how it's employed in this game. If
This
you
is
want to
true.
look at historically, we should just mention historically how the flamethrowers were used, because this is kind of a historical game. So, like the modern version is attributed to the Germans, right? From World War I, back when trenches were a response to the machine gun, and flamethrowers became a response to the trench.
Yep.
Because they're good against fixed positions. So you go all the way back to the Romans and the Greeks. They were playing around, tossing fire at fixed positions. The Byzantiums put things in a tube and spray it off a ship to another ship, which is kind of a large fixed position. So even the Chinese were using oil around the Dark Age. But that doesn't matter because we're talking about modern flamethrowers. Dousing things in oil and holding a candle to it was used up until about the 1700s. But that brings us to a young John Gray Simcoe. See, when he was a child, he would hear the stories of those ancients and how they used flames, and that he was fascinated by it. But what really got his attention is his mom at night would tell him about the battles between the British and the French that were happening. And there was one, I think it was the bombing of Le Havre, Normandy there, where the French were actually looking at ways to use flaming stuff against the British. So this piqued his interest, and he drew pictures as a child and stuff like that. And one of them, as children will do, it was just so he drew pictures of them. Anyways, there was a German engineer. You might have heard of his name, Richard Fielder. So he was at a museum and he saw these old childhood pictures, and this would later come back to help him out because they were trying to figure out. It was some other German engineer who was converting steam engines into flamethrowers and stuff like that. But it was Mr. Fielder, Feldler. My German's rusty. I think maybe it's Feldler, who really got into the modern flamethrower, coming up with an idea. And what he got from John Gage Simcoe, because one of the pictures our Lieutenant Governor drew was just the guy bending over with flames shooting him out of his butt. And that is where Fielder realized we could mix a gas with the liquid. And then the gas would be under pressure, it could propel it, the liquid would be there, you light it on the way out, boom, flamethrower. And that is that's the history of how we ended up with flamethrowers on the battlefield.
I thought you were going to get upset about how they jump out of a Jeep and shoot.
That's what I was listening to. This was a far better story.
That went way better than I was expecting it to go.
We will come back to that point, Sean, about the clown car flamethrowers.
The clown car flamethrowers, yeah.
Flamethrower flamethrowers that are immune to small arms fire, except in limited circumstances.
Yeah. So, do you guys use flamethrowers? Do you think they should be on your list? Are they an auto include? Are they? I think I'm going to do it. My list allows me. Pretty much every generic list allows it that I can think of. Matt, do you think they should be on your list on a regular or auto include, or should they?
I've almost always had them. It's like that 50 points and other dice in the bag. But the way I've been playing them has been really bad because of that. They usually get targeted. I don't think I've been successful with a flamethrower in about a year. I think when we first started playing, I did okay with them. But lately, either I miss on that one shot, or I miss and then I roll a 1, which happened against Craig the last game. So
I think that happened against me too.
Yeah, probably. I don't. It's that great extra dice, but I'm starting to think if I'm going to include them, I'm throwing them in Pioneers. At least then there's something else there that'll take the shots.
I think
and
the word you're looking for is a blade of armor.
Or meat shield.
Meat shields.
Yeah. So lately I've been trying to put them into Pioneers just to hopefully get them to last a bit longer before they roll that 1 for fuel shortage.
So rather than trying to get 2 in a list, you just took it out of the individual unit and threw it into a Pioneer unit?
Yeah. And then try to find, even if I need that extra dice, get a medic or something for those cheap points. Yeah. Although for 50 points, you might as well just get 10 regular guys. Or 5 regular guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kevin, what are your thoughts? You look deep in them.
I've used flamethrowers a couple times, and they've, just like Matt, they've accomplished nothing. So it's the points. I'd rather get the extra rifles, and I always put my flamethrower with a squad of 3 or 4 SMGs or rifle guys to go with them, so they're with the Pioneers. But they never do anything. At least for me, the rolls, the dice, they don't. They don't set anything on fire. I've never run out of fuel though. I've never rolled a 1 for that. But they haven't done a whole lot.
Okay, Evan.
Building up my Canadian force, I got the pack for Christmas with a flamethrower. I haven't used it yet. Still raw metal. My Vichy French can't take flamethrowers. I've never really used them. I do take great joy in shooting people's transports when they try and bring their flamethrowers close to me. And then they have to start walking across half a board. That's always fun. So the Canadian one, I think I'll experiment with both the foot-manned sort of the human carried one and the wasp.
Yeah.
And see.
Yeah, that's the list that has 2 wasps.
You could take 2 wasps. Yeah.
Nice.
I've had a wasp played against me, and it was devastating. So yeah, if you can't beat them, join them.
Well, that's the one thing I forgot to say too. Flamethrowers have a 6-inch range, but vehicle flamethrowers have a 12-inch range, and then a foot-mounted flamethrower is basically 12 inches because you can move 6, shoot 6. Vehicles, depending on, can be 9 or 12 movement, and then another 12 inches. So you're looking at halfway across the board, basically.
And if they roll a 1, they stick around. They stay versus the infantry taking off.
Yeah.
So I think are the wasps? Those aren't a transport, are they? They're an armored car.
It's
the universal carrier that's just been adopted.
The universal carrier that they converted into a.
No, but does it count under the transport slot or an armored car slot?
No, it counts under tank, I believe. In the list that he's talking about, it's different.
Yeah. Okay, so then even if it runs out of fuel, it can still take an objective.
Depending on the rollings of.
Okay, yeah. So on the ones that,
Yeah, so he doesn't lose the tank. Yes.
Yeah. So in that sense, to me, that's worth the extra points.
Yeah, because when they do get pulled off, that's a die that counts against you.
Yeah.
It's considered
50
dead.
points out the ring.
Yeah.
What is interesting in the wasp is I don't know historically how accurate it is, but they did keep the recce kind of turn on the spot rules for the universal carrier. The wasp keeps it, so it can still reverse full speed.
Yeah.
You can actually see video footage of wasps in action. I think it's probably demonstration World War II footage. But they are flying. Flying. It's just crazy. Good idea.
When I lived in Alberta, my family has one side of my family has farms back there, and one of the neighbors had a universal carrier that his dad brought back, and they converted to farm use. But those things, they move. I was surprised. I thought they were like, you think of tracked vehicles. They were, not quite a Skidoo, but they moved.
They've got one at the.
They're coming back. No, just a universal carrier I stole from the army.
Yeah.
It's at Brantford Heritage Museum, Military Museum. They've got one there that's working, and they have an open day, and you can pay to go in it, and it drives around this old industrial estate kind of thing with you in it holding on for dear life while it spins around and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
All right, to drag us back in, Sean, your favorite unit in the game, a mounted flamethrower.
That's right, the flamethrower cavalry, as I like to call them. The where I see them best with the best odds is in an army with weight of dice, because you time it when you're going to get them in position, and then you've got them. You've got a good chance because it's the one round getting them into position. Unless you drive right up to the person, it's the same round because you can hop out and shoot. But that's not. It's you need the weight of dice to do that too, right? You think, no, I've got just my dice left, or I've got a bunch and he's only got a couple, so you can drive up to something and then know that you're going to have the good chance at the next dice to get the shot off. And you have to be shooting something that isn't the what's that unit the British have that everybody takes?
Gurkhas?
Gurkhas, yeah. Well, if they're not Gurkhas, then your flamethrower will have an effect, and you'll be able to hopefully pin the unit at least, if not lift it. I mean, if it's large enough, you're not going to lift everything. You can pick on a small unit with it. Small units of vets are great for being targets if you can use your flamethrower.
Yeah, because you're not so much you lifting them as reducing them to ineffectual. Yeah. Whereas a large unit, you're not going to do anything to.
That's the one variable on the flamethrower that keeps it, reasonable is the number of hits that you're going to get on the unit you're shooting at.
Yeah, more you'll roll ones just as much as sixes. That's just the odds. So it sounds a lot, listening to you guys, that one is you'll take it, but you've got to figure out the delivery system, when to time it, how to time it. Walking it is not really an option. Is there a particular unit in the rules, like the Soviets have got an upgrade, the new combat? I think it's the fourth or the first Fallschirmjäger. I can't remember now because there are two of them. In Tough Gut has a +1 to hit with their flamethrowers. There's the Japanese SSKI engineering vehicle, which you can get an upgrade to have rear mounted because you have the left and right and front. Although you can only fire one at a time, you basically have a 270-degree arc. Is there one you think is like, damn, if I had that, I would take it in my army all the time? Or is there a particular one you like? What are your guys' thoughts on specific flamethrowers? Craig, you're recently moving to Soviets. What do you think about their two-man?
Yeah, so I typically like my flamethrowers with, like Matt, as engineers in a engineer unit. If you lose the flamethrower, you don't use the squad. Blah blah blah. The two-man flamethrower is 50 points for two guys, and there's a lot of risk to it. It's kind of a one-shot pony, one-trick pony. That's it. Yeah, not the sharpest cookie in the garden patch, but I think that with the two-man Soviet team, it's an additional investment because it's an extra 5 points for what's called Rocks 2. And what the Soviets used to do is disguise the flamethrower to make it look like a rifle in a backpack, so you couldn't pick them out. And the rules for this upgrade is that you can't, through exceptional damage, you can't kill the flamethrower guy.
Oh, okay.
You
that's
can
nice.
kill the loader, but you can't kill the flamethrower.
Yeah.
5 points, it's good, but try not to take two-man flamethrowers if I can help it, unless the list says I must. Or I'm like my commandos, I don't have much else. Like tank, so I probably would go with two.
I feel if you're taking a two-man unit, there's a tax, and that's a transport.
Yeah, no, you could get a Jeep for like 21 points, 26 points.
But there's a tax to, you got to put it in a transport, because if your foot's slogging across the board, it's never going to get to where it needs to go. And it won't have the protection that a vehicle would give it.
Yeah, yes, yeah, I do agree with that. I would add even more in that if your army is not dice heavy, you have to play that probability game, right? Yeah. So when am I going to pull my dice? When can I play it? And for me, the way I play with my commandos at the moment is I have an intelligence officer, so that I can move my vehicle up, I can get out. I'm ball naked in front of the enemy, so I need to pull that dice out. And
are you paying for the veteran intelligent officer, or going with the regular, or the inexperienced?
For the there's a commando one, so I go with a veteran.
Oh, so it's a veteran. So those of you that don't know, an intelligent officer on a 4+, you get to decide which dice comes out of the bag first. If he's inexperienced, it's a -1, so it'd be 5+. If he's a veteran, it's 1 +1, so it's a 3+. That's why I was asking which level he takes.
The one good thing about it, I would say, with the two-man flamethrower in it, Jeep, is that you can threaten an area of the board, or you could bring them on as a flank later in the game. So there is a reach out and burn somebody potential there. Yeah. That 5-point upgrade for the two-man Soviet team really is if you choose to, you don't have the points for a vehicle, and you're going to put them foot slogging up the board. And if you put them foot slogging up the board where a sniper's going to see you, okay, well, you deserve to be shot anyway. So I don't know. Pioneers are my first go-to, and then if I've got the points and I need to, and I don't have anti-tank stuff, then I will go with that two-man team. So
Kevin and Matt, you're both dabbling in the Germans and the Fallschirmjäger, and it is the fourth Fallschirmjäger that gets the Fallschirmjäger Pioneers for the fourth Fallschirmjäger. I just looked it up. That gets a +1 to hit with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Does that affect your decision to go fourth versus first for either one of you? Do you care, or you're still putting it in a unit of Pioneers? I'm not even going to try to Pioneer Fallschirmjägers.
You want this one first, or?
Yeah, Kevin, go ahead.
I don't play Fallschirmjäger.
Well, you play Germans.
he plays SS, doesn't he? Is that his
Yeah.
thing?
He's Canadian. He can't
We
play
don't-
SS.
We don't get any special flamethrower rules. I don't have any Fallschirmjäger or any.
So
I don't know.
you don't take Fallschirmjäger Pioneer platoon if you could. So you just, how do you play your German flamethrowers?
Flamethrower.
German
German
SS, so
flamethrower.
they're like this.
German flamethrower. 3 or 4 other guys with either SMGs or rifles, depending on the. And then they go in a heavy field car so they can race across the field. And then you jump them out in such a way that Craig told me, so that you're close enough with the flamethrower, but everybody else can still shoot
With the SMG.
Yeah, you got to set them up right so that they can all shoot correctly.
Don't
And
get
the
out.
flamethrower.
Don't get out of the car on the side of the ambush is on.
Yes, correct.
Matt, you're recently building a Fallschirmjäger unit. What do you think of the +1? You're building it.
Yeah,
So
still
I know
building.
you've got no
Yet to play.
table time on it, but what is your theory craft?
Well, I'm still torn between the two because first they get the option of fanatics, which I like.
At 3
But then,
points a
yeah.
man, I believe.
3 points.
I don't think I don't think it's 3 points, is it?
It's typically 3 points for fanatic rule, but I think it may be 2 points in this case. I'd have to
I
look.
think it's 2 because they come with pistols.
Oh, you're right.
They're
It is 2
already
plays. It is 2.
pointed for pistols.
Yeah, it's 2.
So that allows the whatever that was. But I do like the fourth because of the flamethrowers, and I've thrown them into Pioneer soon. But yeah, it's probably going to be the fourth with the extra rule for the Pioneers or flamethrowers in the Pioneers.
So you think it's worth dumping the 2 points a man so that you can have 1 or 2 flamethrowers that +1 to hit?
Well, instead of making them fanatic.
Yeah, the 2
Well,
points
because-
of man for fanatic for almost an entire army versus I'm gonna get these 2 or 3 flamethrowers. I don't know how many Pioneer platoons you can get in your list.
I want to hear what Matt's answer is going to be before I give my
Yeah,
I think it came. I forget my lists now. I don't have them in front of me, but I think it came down to points. So the extra points that I could save by not making them fanatic, they've already got pistols, so they're tough fighters in combat anyway.
yeah.
I would think I just had a few better lists without being fanatic. And I'm also kind of trusting Bo Morgenstein's. Mortensen, yeah. He mentioned he got something about fanatics not being worth it for them, for the Fallschirmjäger.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm starting. It could
I'm
change.
Just, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
no,
I'm
that's
wondering
my
what your
starting
theory
point.
crafting is, where your
Yeah.
theory crafting is. So
Yeah, that's my starting point. So after that, who knows? It might go first. It might go whatever new book comes out next year.
Yeah, I definitely would not go with the fanatics. I agree with Matt. I think you're already building veterans, which
Yeah.
are expensive anyway. So then to give another 2 points that's for a minimum 5-man squad, another 10 points. And if you've got 3 of those, it's not worth it. Now, I don't even think I would go with the 4 or 5er. I don't think I would go with the upgraded flamethrowers because to pay an extra in a 5-man squad, to pay an extra 5 points to have that option.
Right.
is already adding to that.
Yeah.
I don't know that plus one. I don't know. You
every
already
man in
hit
the
the hit on
platoon.
3s, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is 66% of the time you're going to do your damage.
And every
Right.
man in the platoon. So the larger the platoon is, the more
Yeah.
that plus one to hit with the flamethrower costs you.
Right.
I think
So,
you
Paul-
might be, you put it on one squad that you definitely are going with a 7-man. I'm going to go push forward and I'm going to use that for combat as well and invest a bit in it. But for the rest of my squads, I wouldn't
Yeah.
play that.
Nope.
I think it's a trap. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Which I usually fall for.
Oh man.
So
I gotta get my sound effects for streaming so we can hit those buttons. It's a trap. Sean, Evan, any thoughts on any of your particular units that you're having for your armies? Evan, you played Vichy French, so they didn't get it. So I don't know if they get a vehicle version either. I don't think so.
Don't think so, no.
And he's playing with his Canadian Wasps, so
The Canadian
Yeah,
was. It was,
soon.
yeah.
Sean, you're building for Special Service Force for Adepticon.
Indeed.
And
But
they don't have a flamethrower either, do they? Because that's not a very quiet weapon for them.
the Italians have a destruction group that has the 2 flamethrowers in there.
That's right. I forgot about your Italians.
Yeah. So they so that unit I have, it's painted, it was fun. I played it once or twice.
he's got 2 flamethrowers in one unit.
Yeah, so it's
Nice.
a good option for if you want flamethrowers and you don't have weight of dice. So if you're sitting at 16, 18 dice, take the 2-man, don't worry about it. But if you're under that, then this is not a bad way to get the flamethrowers on the table. They take up more of the truck. So you can't really put as much in the truck. If it's a 2-man, you stick some assault group in there with them.
Yeah.
Something that also has a lot of dice, like an SMG squad or the thing that's going to assault the thing you flamed. But if you just as the 2-man destruction group is good. It has staying power if it gets shot at, and I don't think it's comes veteran, but it's regular for sure.
Are they tough fighter or anything like that? SMGs? Or just the 2 flamethrowers to weaken whatever they're going to hit?
Yeah, they might have an SMG option. I don't remember. Maybe they don't. But I only take them for the flamethrowers. The rest is armor, blade.
So for those keeping track, it's still 1 for getting hit and a D3 for the first flamer, D3 for the second flamer. It's D3 plus D3 plus 1, not D3 plus D3 plus 1 plus 1.
Another unit I like is the Warsaw Uprising Homemade Flamethrower, which is quite cool. It's a 4-man regular unit for 50 points. And they have a flamethrower, which I think for 50 points to have 4 guys is pretty sweet.
Meat shields are always happening.
And also because it's a 4-man, it doesn't count as a team. So if your flamethrower goes, then you keep the 3 men.
They stick around. Isn't that the same with your commandos? If you put SMGs on them, they don't disappear because they have an alternate weapon?
No, it's just that with the commandos, certain commando lists you can upgrade them with SMGs. But I think that's more if you had you choose to use those SMGs instead of a Piet or a flamethrower kind of a thing.
Okay.
But it's certain theaters. I don't think it's regular. I know they're out there because Andrew talks about it, but
yeah,
I've not encountered it. But
I
I do like the one thing I do like about the Warsaw one, not just being 4-man and it's hanging around and it's good points. I like the fact that it can blow itself up, which I think is also.
Well, yeah.
it doesn't just run out of fuel; it goes kaboom.
Yeah, you roll the dice and see what happens, and it could blow the entire squad up, or just put 2 pins on, or not. I just think that's fun.
We should have a house rule that if a sniper shoots a flamethrower dude, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if the sniper always managed to hit the breech of a machine gun, the barrel of a mortar, it should be able to hit the flamethrower's backpack. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Remove the unit, bigger splash.
Yeah.
some of the
So go
other
on.
vehicles that are out there, because we haven't really talked about vehicles.
Sorry, going back to
Yep.
the Polish. The other good thing about
Polish,
them is the Uprising, the 4-man unit there. It's 50 points. You got 4 guys. It's a good dice unit for that list because the other options are the Q2 squad. That's 130 points. The rifle squad, which is inexperienced, so you can get 1 NCO and 4 riflemen, but they're inexperienced for 35 points. So for 5 points more, you're getting 15 points more, you're getting the flamethrower. So in that case, it's kind of like I don't mind that they're not embedded into an engineers or pioneer unit.
Well, because they've got their meat shields with them.
Yeah.
They're already coming with their meat shields. And like you said, they're a team. So if you do snipe them out, you still have a 3-man team running around.
Yeah.
Do those get veteran or are they regular?
Or just
regular?
Yeah, I believe they're regular.
Okay.
The only thing in that list I think that's veteran is the Kidu, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong.
Evan?
I think that
Kevin.
I'm including myself, Matt, and Derek because we all know how to build stuff. And then we need a 4th. As I say, we build one of these because we have the resources and see how it works.
No.
For anybody that's in the government that's listening, this is just talk. So some of the vehicles,
I think the viewers would like to see it.
Yeah. See you blow up.
Let us know.
It'd be like the Soviet one.
I personally like not being in jail, so because flamethrowers in most countries, I don't know about here, but in South Africa, making military weapons is illegal. It's like
you know what? We're doing an interview with Dave next month for something else, but he's the one that made the Panhard and he does that. I'm sure he's made a flamethrower because it's legal in the States. I'm just saying, or at least I think it is because I know they sell them down there. But
certain states probably.
If I can sell you a torch to hot tar your roof and stuff that shoots a flame out 10 feet, we can build this thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Your Honor, I was just trying to tar my roof all at once.
From the ground, and out of the back of my friend's SUV.
So we haven't really talked about vehicles. So there is one rule to look for vehicles. Like I said earlier, if you are being shot at, your opponent gets +1 against your vehicle if you've got a flamethrower. Some of the vehicles, like I was saying, the Sherman and the Churchill have a trailer, so they don't get that. So that's something to look forward. If you're playing Commonwealth countries or the US, you have that option. I don't think that option is with the Soviets, and I do not believe it is with the Germans. The Japanese have an interesting one I mentioned earlier as well, is SSKI engineering vehicle. It has an upgrade where you can get a rear-mounted flamethrower. It comes standard with a left arc, right arc, and front arc. And I want to say it's 20 points, but I could be off for an optional rear-mounted one. The interesting thing about this is apparently there was only ever 7 of these vehicles made, but they're in pretty much every freaking Japanese list out there. Now, the nice thing about this is, unlike most vehicles, you can park it right behind a building, facing the building. Because you've got left and right arc flamethrowers, you can put it on ambush, and if somebody is coming around the corner on either side, you can still shoot them. Whereas most vehicles, it is a front-mounted only, so you don't have that kind of ambush option. If somebody manages to get to your side, you can't really shoot them. So that is an interesting thing with the Japanese one.
Go back to your vehicle thing.
Yeah.
For the listeners, if you take one of those tanks with the fuel trailer at the back, your movement is reduced to 6 inches advance and 12 inches run. So
but you're not blowing up when you're shot.
Right, just a quick historical note about the crocodiles. I was reading a book where it's from the Germans' point of view on D-Day, and after the initial bridgehead, when they started to come off the beaches, they brought up crocodiles and flamethrower and all this stuff. Apparently what they used to do was, because the trenches would go around buildings and and they knew the Germans were around the corner, but they couldn't see them. So the crocodiles would just fire the fuel, wouldn't ignite it, and they would let the fuel go down the trench. And then they would fire again, and it would flame, and it would go around the corners. And so it was all inside, and it's just like, oh my god, it's crazy. So
How do we
the
get
Germans
that rule in
started
bolt
to recognize, like, what the? Okay, get out.
action? How do we get that rule in bolt action?
I know, right? That's probably why you get no cover save or something like that.
Second round of shooting, if you're still there, you're burnt. You're burnt!
But one of the things why I don't think you see flame tanks very often, one, they're expensive, but typically, two, in theory, they're very good. So a lot of tournaments ban flamethrowing vehicles. The fact that you can move 12, shoot 12, like, is pretty good. So I think
it avoids cover, it avoids down. You can hit buildings and put buildings on fire. The flamethrower, with the rules that they sit, I honestly don't think flame tanks should be allowed in pretty much any tournament, because unless you're playing tank on tank battles, in which case, yeah, bring them.
or you're playing a selectors tournament. It's just whatever goes. It's just like,
Well, that's the nice thing about
cheap.
theater selectors, is I think that's where the insanity ensues, because you get the weird corner case things that just, really, really play off on corner case situations where you're looking for those two battles where something is just definitely going to go your way. And flame tanks is one of those things where if you get that nice open board, not wooded, you can start doing a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But 485 points, like a crocodile's a third of your army.
Yeah, but the nice thing about the crocodiles, it still has its main gun.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and the Sherman gets its main gun. A lot of the other ones lose their main gun because it gets replaced.
Well, it depends on the Sherman. The Zippo version, it loses the main gun and becomes the flamethrower. So then you've got 360 degree flammability, for want of a, I don't know what the word would be here, but yeah.
Is it the Satan as well? Does that keep it? Or as the hockey player would prefer his name to be, Shaitan? The Shaitan? Still have.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it that much to see whether. I want to say the Satan is hull mounted, but I might be wrong.
So the complexity of putting it in a turret just seems crazy. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up the flamethrower discussion. If you guys have anything else that you think is interesting, drop us a note, and we'll do some kind of podcast at the end where we discuss everything that we've missed in our season this year. All right, Craig. Next up.
So next up we've got the Adepticon interview with Andrew Verticchio, the the Chicago Dice founder and primary tournament organizer for Adepticon's Bolt Action, Combat Patrol, and Doubles. And you can hear his interview right now. Boom. Hi, and welcome to the Dice Hoses interview. And we're in episode 1, season 2. And for those of you that remembered season 1 and our first episode, we had a very special guest from Adepticon, which is Andrew Verticchio. And we have him back for the first episode of season 2, so we're really happy. And welcome back, Andrew. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Craig, for having me back. Excited to be here.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we threatened that we'd get you back, so which is great that you fell for it a second time, which is fantastic.
It wasn't a threat. It was a promise.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate that. Thank you. So for those who have not seen the first episode, maybe, which is understandable, it's a while ago now, Andrew is the tournament organizer at Adepticon for 2 events, the Combat Patrol and the Doubles, and he also is founder of the Chicago Dice Gaming Club, And we'll kind of just touch on that briefly. But if you really want to go and deep dive, go back to episode 1 and check that out.
You'll find
So-
out his history, what he was doing,
Yeah,
what got him
what's
into
he doing?
this, and how he became the coordinator of arguably the best tournament at Adepticon. Best 2 tournaments. He runs 2.
Yeah,
Too kind.
yeah, right.
Too kind.
So what have you been up to, Andrew, since then? I think it was like April, May of last year, 2023, and now what have you been doing?
Yeah, so a lot of hobby, obviously. A lot of bolt action. Right now, as we sit here in January recording, it is very much Adepticon ramp-up season. So writing missions, playtesting missions, working on my own personal hobby. I'm not playing in any bolt action events at Adepticon, but I am playing in Saga doubles. So I've got a bunch of Saga Spaniards sitting on my painting desk behind me, and all of those need my attention as
What
well.
day is that? Must be Saturday then, because that would be the only day you'd be free, right?
Yes, yeah. Saga doubles is on Saturday. I'm actually good friends with the TOs of Saga, and last year we coordinated so that bolt action doubles would be on Friday, Saga doubles would be on Saturday, because there's a fair amount of overlap there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember from last year actually talking to guys who were playing in the doubles. I'd asked if they were playing in the bolt action singles, and they were like, "No, I'm playing in the Saga doubles and stuff." So, or the Saga event. So, Sean and I managed to get a look around at this Saga event, and it looked awesome. Like
It is
really
awesome.
good.
Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about it at all the last episode I was on, but in that doubles tournament, me and my teammate Ben, we lost all 3 games, 0-3, and not only did we lose, I mean, we got absolutely destroyed. I have rarely had so much fun at a tournament. I mean, all the Saga players, the community, we were brand new. They were super welcoming, just like a great experience with that Saga crowd. It reminded me a lot of the bolt action crowd. So if anybody wants to dip their toes into another historical, Saga is the one for sure.
Well, it's on the list. I know that. Sorry, Derek. Another one to add to our.
No, I don't mind Saga. I've got Saga already. I was actually thinking, I wonder what Craig's doing or Sean's doing on Saturday, because I know you guys are doing BRS. I was the only one to sign up for bolt action singles, so I'm kind of looking forward to it because I got some goofy thing going with heavies. But I just to digress, I'm a little disappointed. I sent the TO a note saying, "Hey, I looked at your approved lists, and I can't believe that you've got." Sorry, I had a little bit of feedback in my ear there. I was like, how have you not got Case Blue for the minor nations? Like, so I sent him an email. He goes, I'll have to look into those rules. I haven't looked at them yet. And I was like, so you're supposed to bring a heavy, and if he does approve the Case Blue, I'm doing the double Tiger Recce with a Recce vehicle list.
Oh, the Hungarians.
Yeah, I'm stealing it.
Hussars.
So we'll see what he said. He said he'd give me a couple days. He said so. Anyways, I digressed on you, but that's what I'm doing Saturday. But if I could find somebody else, I would definitely go to Saga, because if you're thinking that's good, and I know what your doubles tournament's like, it must be a hoot to do.
Yeah, it was a blast. I mean, we're on the Saga podcast apparently, but Saga, they split it up into ages. So there's Age of Crusades, Age of Vikings, Age of Invasions. But for doubles, they just throw all that out the window, and they just don't care.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a Viking warlord or a Viking warband teamed up with Spartans, you can.
Oh,
or
I'm
you
so
could do
into this.
like you could do crusading Templars with crusading Saracens, the arch enemies, but you could be on the same team. It's just absolute insanity.
They're both working for God. They must be going after the devils. We'll sort out our differences after we sort out your difference.
Yeah, they got these pagans.
We've got to bring it back to the topic, because otherwise you're just going to get me excited about Saga.
Yeah.
Right? So,
New game, new shiny objects.
that's right. New shiny object. Oh, what's this? Awesome. So you've been painting up that, getting ready for the. Just talking, you were saying about the missions as an example. Not to ask you what they are, because of course they'll get revealed at a certain time. But are these missions that you're creating, or you're sourcing, or what is that?
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride in mission design for both Combat Patrol and for doubles, and I do what I can to always bring something really novel and different and unique to those two events. If a mission is popular and I get a lot of positive feedback, I won't repeat it exactly. I'll try to put a little twist on it. So I mean, I'm happy to say that the flare mission from Combat Patrol, a lot of people really like that one. We've improved it, we've made it better, so that one's going to be back again. And for doubles, we're still just trying to think of unique ways to force the two teammates to really work together. So it's more than simply a 2-on-2 game. Like, you can't win on your own. You're going to need your teammate to help you out with a couple of these missions. But yeah, most of them are really homegrown. I'll steal an idea or a concept from a different game system and try to adapt it into bolt action. But yeah, we're not playing anything out of the book, that's for sure.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
interesting that you're saying that, because like with the past packets that I've looked at, you always kind of had to be there with your teammate, because you both have to be there to contest, you both have to be there to capture. So I'm interested to see, again, not trying to let anything out of the bag, as it were, but I'm interested to see how you can improve the fact that you've got to be working as a team more, because like we said previously, the fact that you're not just playing against the guy across from you because I set up on the left side and you set up on the right side, you actually have to intermingle your forces, and I like the fact that you've kind of forced that with the objective capturing. So I'm eager to see what you come up with. I can't wait for that.
No, I appreciate that. No pressure. Apparently, I've got a few more weeks until the print deadline. I got to get them all submitted, but I've gotten good feedback from a handful of folks that I sent out little previews to, because I can't design all these on my own. You know, I need someone to check my work for me.
Well, and the more people that test play it, the more armies get a chance to use it, the more eyes that are on it, more ways that you can see if it can be broken, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that actually, when it comes to tournament play, I actually think that bolt action's perfect peak is doubles. I actually found it more fun and interesting to play than singles. Now, I'll just pause it there for a second and just give our listeners and viewer or listener, an overview of the 2 days, just to give some background context. So there are two standalone tournaments. However, if you're a club, you can combine your scores, which we'll talk about later. But day one, which you can just do on your own if you want, is a combat patrol, which if I remember is about 450 points.
450 points, 8 dice as a cap.
It's 8 dice, and then there's things that you can take and can't take, and it's got to be from a theatre selector, generally, if I recall, right?
For combat patrol, it uses its own platoon. It's called a combat patrol platoon.
That's
but
right. Yeah.
We really push people to try to use a theater selector as like your building blocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as your basis. Exactly.
Yeah. And then day two, which again you can do standalone or you could do both days. On the second day is doubles, where and again it's 3 games for each day. Day one's 3 games, day two's 3 games, and with doubles, it's 15 dice cap, 1,400 points that you get to share. It doesn't have to be 700 points. You can play around with that.
One caveat to that, though, is it has to be 650 to 750 for the painting competition. Like, you can't be beyond that. Like, you can't have one person have 800, 100, 600. You have to be within that 50 point or that 100 points there.
Yeah. And this is why I go in, because first of all, last year we didn't get to play Combat Patrol because the tickets sold out really quickly. Also because there was a issue with the ticket registration, which they seem to have solved this year, which is phenomenal, right?
Incredible.
So I'm looking forward to that, but we've not had a chance to play Combat Patrol. But with doubles, I think that the way you set it up, in that there is generalship, there is painting, there is sportsmanship, there's theme, like all of these play into it. You're picking from a selectors, and I think that the reward for theming, and kind of adding to that, just it adds an element of fun to the game that I think you don't get in singles, where it's just you and your opponent. No, there's fun with you and your opponent, but it's kind of like you can blame the bad dice rolling on your colleague, right, rather than yourself. And I think that you go into that with a kind of, there's my force and your force, and we've got to work together, which is great. But it's an added dimension that I don't think you get, where in a singles, I'm the boss. It's my mistake or my, success. I think sharing that with someone, the highs and the lows and the success and stuff, and the fact that you've built a system, a tournament pack around that to reward that and stuff, to me just makes doubles. I just love doubles over singles every time.
I mean, I'm slightly biased because this will be my third year as TO for doubles, but taking the groundwork that Jeremy created years and years and years ago, and then I played in doubles many years, and then he kind of passed the torch to me to run it. It is just the best. And exactly what you're talking about, Craig, like there are a few things better than in bolt action doubles where the game is close, the game is tight. You turn to your teammate, like, I got this great idea. If we get this order die, we're going to be able to do this, this, and this, and we're going to bring it all together. You get that order die, but hold on, there's one pin, you fail your order check, and your entire plan just falls apart. And you're like, well, we tried. and not only that, I think that added aspect of when you're playing by yourself, if you do make a mistake, it's very easy to kind of death spiral and get down on yourself and like kind of like just get really insular, and you're not playing for the fun of the whole event anymore. But when one of your buddies is standing right next to you, they're there to pick you up. Hey, come on, let's remember why we're here. We're here to throw dice, play with toy soldiers, and drink a beer at 10:30 in the morning playing bolt action.
Well, and like you said though, it's more numbers, more fun. Right? If you could get 8 people at a table and keep it within the 2-hour times, it would be even more fun. But obviously, I think 2 twos is enough. But
two twos is enough, and I've been racking my brain trying to figure out if we could ever mimic at a much smaller level what Warhammer 40,000 does for their team tournament. Their team tournament is 2 pairs of 2. So each team is 4 players, and you play simultaneously 2 2v2 games.
Yeah.
Like I want to somehow make that happen, but that's almost like a little just like reaching slightly too far.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Your event sold out. Both of them sold out. In I don't know how many. I don't think
the
there's
double
a
sellout in the end.
Yeah, it was like
38 on day 1.
Yeah, doubles sold out earlier today. Okay. So as of recording, we're on Tuesday night. Registration was 2 days ago, and now doubles has sold.
That's
like that. If there was a way to get more space, if it took 3 days to sell out, maybe maybe you could get a couple of more teams in. It's not Warhammer. Let's be honest. It's not a GW game. It's got a massive following just because they don't know anything else. But there is that possibility. But then again, like you said, you got that's more tables because Warhammer uses 4 pieces of terrain. We use like 4 1/4. Like there's a lot of
honestly, and that's one of the most difficult tasks of being a TO for these 2 events is just trying to get 20 tables worth of quality terrain. Because like I will not stand by subpar terrain for one of these 2 tournaments. I'm just not going to allow it to happen. So it can be tricky to get enough tables to the quality that we want. The other piece that makes me a little hesitant is just the bolt action community is not nearly as large as a Warhammer 40,000 one. So you can get pairs of people to play in doubles for bolt action all day long. But then to say, hey, actually, you have to bring 4, that might be too big a ask for a fair number of people. So maybe next year I could work it in as some sort of like optional side thing where it's like club versus club in the first round. If you have 4 people, you're going to play 4 people from a different club. But we're just, these are all great ideas. This is how we keep it going, keep it fresh.
Well, one thing is just literally occurred to me in this moment, but let's take it for what it's worth. But there is in the UK, UK and Spain, the 2 big team events that are held. The World Open War and the WTC.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I can't think of a better place to have a North American one, right? International team event to pull that. So that might be something we can mess around and noodle over and stuff, because I think we as dice officers have been mulling about how we can get involved with Adepticon. So some kind of, maybe we'll mull that one over, but I think that's a great place to do it if you're going to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just to circle round, just talking about the combat patrol and the doubles, there's also the club cup. Can you just explain a little bit what that is and what you're looking forward to this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2024, this will be the 3rd year that the Club Cup is up for grabs. The way it works is you can have as many people within your club as you want, but within Combat Patrol, I will add together the 4 highest scores for each club. So if you got 4 members of your club, all 4 of you are going to score. If you've got 5, I'm going to take your top 4 for Combat Patrol. I'm going to put those over to the side. And then after doubles, the 2 highest scoring teams from each club, we're going to add all those points together over the 2 days, 6 games, and then the club that has the highest points will get to take home the Club Cup. And the first 2 years that we've done it, it's been like really, really close. I mean, it's kind of anybody's game. And I think in 2022 we had 4 clubs, I think, competing. But then last year, 2023, I think there was 8 or 9. So I mean, it's just really, really cool to see, more people kind of throw their hat in the ring. That we want to take a swing and go for this trophy, this overall trophy, which again is like, it's totally meaningless, but it's just more fun. It's another thing to try to claim.
It's bragging rights.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, I think we came 5th or 6th in that last year, which was our first year. So I think if we can get up onto podium, I think we'd be quite happy.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got less.
Well,
you'll
have exactly. You'll have, but you were able to get into both events this year, which wasn't the case last year.
That's
that'll
right.
help.
Yeah.
And we got everybody. Is Sean playing Combat Patrol?
Sean's in the doubles, but not in Combat Patrol.
So we'll be a player short for Combat Patrol.
But we don't need that.
No, it's just we lost a pair, and we lost a 3rd and a potential 4th that was going to come down with us. So just life hit a couple of guys, so they can't make the trip down, which is unfortunate because it puts more pressure on my shoulders to play good.
Yeah, you just gotta win best overall, and that's how you get started.
Yeah.
So Andrew, just going back behind the scenes of the event. I suppose a couple of things. One is, are there going to be any changes to the event on how you manage it on the day? Is there anything? Because and maybe there isn't. I mean, we thought it was a well managed. For example, having the rounds and the scores listed on the wall is one example. Is there anything that you've this year thought, I want to tweak that, I want to do that you're doing this year?
Yeah, it's not finalized yet, but Tom's my assistant TO who helps me with all the scoring in between the rounds and getting all the pairings up. Yes. Tom he's an absolute hero. One of the things we want to be able to do is, last year we used Best Coast pairings to get all of our pairings put in and to get all our scoring put in. but we didn't push the pairings out to the app. So, folks that are in the event, they weren't getting a notification on their phone where their table was, what their score was, etc. So that is something we want to do for this year. But the way that we do scoring for our events, and Craig, you mentioned that it's got paint, it's got sportsmanship, it's got theme, it's got comp. The app itself for Best Coast Pairing isn't really built to handle all of that at once. It's kind of just win, loss, draw, which is totally fine for a lot of events.
Well, it
but
was
with
originally
Combat
made
Patrol,
for GW events, and they don't.
Yes.
Like that's
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah. And so with Combat Patrol and doubles, where we have all these like extra factors, the so-called soft scores, it's been more difficult than we thought it would be to be able to push out those notifications. But I'm running a tournament in February here in Chicago, and I'm going to test it out there. And if it doesn't work there, then I won't do it at Adepticon, and we'll just have them projected up, and we won't be able to use the notifications. But that's certainly something we want to try, and hopefully we can make it work.
That would be awesome, because when we used to play GW games and attend the tournaments, we did find that Best Coast Pairing was really useful. The only thing that is giving players heads up before the event that it's going to be used, because
Singles didn't last year, and it was a disaster.
Singles, the Warlord game
really?
singles did that, but they did it on the day. They said, we're going to use BCP. And so for those of us that were familiar with it, it was like, oh yeah, great, I've got it. But for many people, they're like, it doesn't go on my phone. I don't know how to open it. What is this? How does it work? Like, and it was just so much confusion that it was just actually being like a bit of, like, there were people who had to go around and be the person who told other players what their round was going to be.
Oh, I was emailing people. Like, what's your email?
Right,
I'll
yeah.
email it to you. What's your email? I'll email
Wow.
this to you. Because everything was last minute. It was like, you got there and we're like, where's the pairings? He's like, oh, it's on Best Coast. It's like, since when? Like it wasn't even a pairs pack. It wasn't anything else, right? So
Yeah, and I probably should have clarified that if we do end up using the app for individual players, that will be in addition to having it posted, having it on the projector. So if you don't want to download the app, you will never have to. But there are definitely people who they love having everything there. In
well,
BCP.
there was a couple of people down there that had work phones, so it wasn't an option. There was a couple of people that were traveling, so they didn't have a data plan. So again, not really an option, because the Wi-Fi being shared with 1 million people didn't really work in the hotel.
Yeah, I think overall, if it works, it's a great thing to do.
Definitely.
I just would give the players a heads up before the day, just so they can
that's a good point. Yeah.
How does it work and stuff. Anything else, or is there anything that you're looking to do to improve the event on the day? Or okay, great.
No, I mean at the risk of sounding overconfident, Tom and I are very pleased with like the rhythm that we've got it in. Really, just attempting to get BCP app functionality is the only thing from like a management perspective that we want to attempt, that we want to change. Yeah.
When are the scenarios kind of announced? When what's the date for that?
So let me pull up my calendar here.
Because I think the army lists have to be submitted, I think, 25th of February, thereabout.
Yeah, so doubles lists are due February 25th. Combat Patrol lists are due March 3rd, that following Sunday. So then at the very soonest, I'd be able to get the scenarios out on the 10th, which again would be that following week. And I'll do what I did last year, which was also include a one-page FAQ, just to kind of explain a couple of the intricacies with a few of these missions. But that's a good call out, Craig. I'm actually going to write a note to myself right now to send out the mission packets.
Cool. So rules changes. I saw when we originally talked, there was a couple of tweaks in the rules. Is there anything that is staying or is being added to it this year? I think I saw like it went from 16 dice to 15 dice. Is there?
So a couple of things. Exactly as you mentioned, for doubles, order dice went down from 16 to 15. Also, clarifications and limiting in doubles to just one free unit per team. Doesn't matter what you're running, doesn't matter the source of that free unit. On every doubles team, you just get one free unit.
Yeah, so nobody's running around with potentially 1,600 points.
It's exactly. Then the ban list has been updated with the release of Soft Underbelly, Tough Gut, Case Blue. I had several things to toss onto that ban list, both for Combat Patrol and for doubles.
Oh, I didn't look at that. I'll have to check that out. Anything?
Yeah, I mean it's
slightly controversial, or that you thought was, but I'm gonna go with this because, like, what
mean,
are some
only
of
if
the
you-
ideas?
well, we got like the German siege gun forward observer from Case Blue.
Okay, yeah. Well, sorry, I forgot all about that.
That's not going to be allowed.
That's pretty much everybody bans that.
Yeah, and the British naval observer has been banned since the D-Day book came out, and now the Soviet Union has a naval observer in Case Blue, so that's also been banned. Some of the stuff from Tough Gut, like canister shot, delayed fuse HE shells, everything that's slightly over the line.
But some of those were banned already, weren't they? Because of the Pacific Theater books, didn't they have some of those in there? I just remember.
Yes,
seeing
canister shot was already banned for the U.S. because of the Mariana and Palau Islands book, but now the British also have the ability to take canister shot in Tough Gut, so that's also been.
Yeah.
I think the guy that wrote Tough Gut got jealous and was like, "My two armies don't have these. I want them."
And I went back and forth quite a bit on that new Italian cavalry that can assault twice in a turn.
Yeah.
I didn't ban it. Italy, in its long and glorious bolt action history, and I know it better than others, is really underrepresented in tournaments. So that unit is not banned. However, if it turns out that half the Axis players are playing Italy and all of them are bringing multiple units of that new cavalry, then they'll end up on the ban list too. There's only a few units that I'm actually proactively banning. The Scherzen squad for Germany from Western Desert, they're the ones that get the free LMG.
Yeah.
When that book came out, I didn't ban them. Every single German player at Adepticon had at least one unit of them. And when you see a unit get used that often, when it becomes a 1
it's out of
plus,
balance.
when it becomes a
Same as
1 plus
your
option, and we're done. So we'll see how it plays out with Italy. I'm not super concerned just because there's not very many people that play Italy. But if I'm proven wrong, then 2025 we'll get rid of them. So they get 1 year, 1 year for Italy.
Here's your free one, boys.
So I see that you banned Gurkhas, you've banned Paragurkhas, but you didn't ban Maori Paragurkhas.
The reason I didn't is because I don't believe that interpretation of the unit is correct. I don't think you're actually allowed to take.
I would agree with that.
So the Gurkhas are banned. What about the new Gurkhas in Tough Gut with the better pointing system?
Ooh,
are you allowing
that's a
those,
good
or are you
one.
just straight out no?
Oh, that is a good question.
That is a good question because that is more balanced.
Yeah,
I
haven't
points
played
per
against
Gurkha.
them, but looking at the point spread on them, they seem a little bit more palatable. So I was curious
Well,
on that because
I mean,
just
I've
saw
already-
that the Gurkhas, but you haven't updated your webpage in a while either. So I was like, oh, maybe
I
there's something.
I updated a couple of things right before the beginning of the year, and I had said a long time ago that after January 1 there wouldn't be any changes.
Yeah.
So if folks bring those Tough Gut Gurkhas, they're good to go. And if it's super egregious, then we'll kick them onto the ban list for 2025.
I think, though, unfortunately, you're not going to see them as much as I would love them to be, but because they're just too expensive for what they do, right? So
They're not
there
the
are other
freebie.
units.
Yeah.
Well,
Other
other
changes
aren't
is
free; they're just discounted.
Yeah,
Right. But
other
but there are
changes
other units as well.
for both event is we've just extended out the time in between games. Both Combat Patrol and doubles are starting a little bit earlier, ending a little bit later, and that's just to give more breathing room for everybody in between the games. And also it's for myself and Tom too to be able to make sure we can get everything set up in between those rounds.
Well, by and large, you don't have people complaining about, I got this, we got to get this over, I got to get home. Like, nobody's really there with the wife or the family or other obligations. They're there to play. If it goes to midnight, I'm here to midnight type thing, right?
Absolutely.
I'd probably add to that as well, in that what makes it bolt action different from Games Workshop stuff, and I've been in Games Workshop for 30 odd years, and I have many friends from GW Hobby. But I think with bolt action as a community, there is it feels it's closer in many ways. I think it's more, it's even though there's a competitive element to it, I don't think that gets in the way of players in the game. And I think generally people are there to have fun. You want to win, but not at all costs, right? Or the majority of people, not at all costs. And the game doesn't allow you to really do that anyway. It's not like you can alpha strike and do things. So I think having the extra time, we're a community that likes to talk, right? And people go to Adepticon because they want to be together and show off how they know how many rivets are on a Sherman, versus a Sherman Mark 6 or whatever, and stuff. And one of the things we love going, we come down from Canada and stuff to check it out, is because we want to meet people that we met last year and new people, and as close as we are, relatively speaking, to the border, we don't really come across that many Americans, and so it's fun hanging out with Americans, right? And stuff. So I think that having time between games is one thing.
Well, and I
right?
also want to make sure that I'm allowing folks who are even dedicating their day to play in a tournament to still have time to go and walk around, to go and look at other games. I mean, they have done a much better job at the Hyatt Regency, which is where all the historical stuff is now. But there's also all the Lord of the Rings, all the Song of Ice and Fire. So if you want to go and see what Lord of the Rings doubles is up to, you've got an hour in between these games. Go ahead and walk downstairs. I am like kicking myself that I didn't make time to go and see it last year. And a couple of friends of mine did, and they said these armies were just spectacular. And I want to go and see that. I love Lord of the Rings. I want to go check out all that stuff too. So it's make sure you take a trip down the hall, go to the Saga room, go downstairs, see what Lord of the Rings and Ice and Fire are up to. And then there should be enough time to get over to the vendor hall too, which of course is the real reason that we're all there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I like the vendor hall, but to be honest, I have a lot of what I've got, right?
Oh, no, I know. Oh, absolutely. I'm in the same boat.
Is there something that I might pick up that I think that's great? Then like last year, I think we found some carry trays with a little mat inside.
Nice.
And we were like, oh yeah, that's great. That's brilliant. I like to walk around and stuff, but actually, maybe I just get to be an old fart. I actually just like talking to the vendors and people in there.
I'm right there with you. It's been a couple of years now where I'm not really going to buy anything in the vendor hall, but I want to see all of it. And there's a lot to see. Like every year that Arena Rex booth just gets more and more and more impressive, and I want to go talk to him again.
Yeah. I'd like to see what Shatterpoint's going to be this year as well.
Ooh, yeah.
And the Golden Demon and stuff. I mean,
I'm kicking myself because I got a chance to see the Golden Demon, the models as like at the very end, and half of them were gone. People are packing them up and whatnot, and I was like so disappointed because what I did get to see, I was just like, this is phenomenal. Like, why did I not make it to get over here? Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I went Sunday morning last year. It's just mind blowing in those cases. And then Games Workshop has done a much better job now of like taking a lot more photos after the awards. So then you get to see the pictures of everything that won. But for some of them, you're like, oh, I remember seeing that in the case. And this photo isn't even close to how cool it was. So then you even get sort of that extra experience of having like the opportunity to see all those in person. And you got to do it.
Yeah. If you could play in your own event, what army would you take to play?
For Combat Patrol or for doubles?
Both.
Both. Oh, I played in a tournament here in Chicago last October, and I did Royal Commandos in Burma, and it was a blast. So I would bust those out again for Combat Patrol. Just the amount of little sneaky weapons teams that they get, and these commando rules where the Piet team is still considered to be armed with small arms. So after I've snuck them up the table, two SMGs come blasting out, and nobody ever expects that. That I'm looking at them in my shelf right now. That army is really, really fun to play. Super unique because you tell people that you're playing British Commandos and like, oh, okay, well, I've played British before. Not like this, you haven't. They're totally different. All their army rules are different. All their unit rules are different. So definitely those Royal Commandos for Combat Patrol.
Which book is that from, Andrew?
Burma.
It is in D-Day British and Canadian sectors, because within that book, it's got the full Inter-Allied Commandos army list, and there's like 8 theater selectors. And some of those theater selectors go, hey, you can do this way for Burma, this way for Normandy, this way for Northwest Europe. So it's kind of buried in there. But yeah, it's a late war Royal Marine Commandos in Burma. That's the heat. That's the heat.
You can't do
there.
that. Late war is after your.
We're talking about my own event.
Yeah,
oh,
if
man.
you could go this year, what would you bring?
Oh, no, he could technically do it. He just wouldn't get the theming points, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right. I mean,
yeah,
yes, of course. Yeah, I'm not in the business of telling people how to hobby. You can always bring whatever you want. But it is much more fun to play on theme. Okay, so mid-war. Oh, it's Stalingrad Tractor Factory with the paint your T-34s with that oxide red and have the People's Militia pushing them out of a factory right into a German anti-tank gun. I mean, like that army kind of and display board just creates itself.
Yeah.
And you could even, I've seen not in bolt action, but scale modeling, someone who had those oxide red T-34s with like the white markings from the factory, like along the hull and along the turret for like where the weld lines would be. Like, come on. that's what I'd want to play for doubles for sure. And then just find somebody foolish enough to do it with me, because I don't think they're very good, but it would sure be fun as hell to play.
That's not what counts. It doesn't matter about being good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, we're my partner and I, Matt and I, we're taking Canadians, right? And it's 3 Churchills. Okay, they're not the best tanks, right? But we're doing Dieppe, right? So the Dieppe
wow.
It's going to be fun. We were like, what do we do? Canadian? Originally it was Canadians and Commandos, and originally it was Stalingrad. We were doing Stalingrad, and Matt was like, I'll do Soviets, but I'm not really interested in Eastern Front. But he's really into Dieppe. Yeah. And so we were like, I was like, okay, dude, let's do Dieppe. Let's just check your box, make you happy, do a Canadian Dieppe list, and I'll do Commandos. So I bought Commandos, and we kind of played it around. And then I was like, but there's not really any anti-tank in my list. And then I was like, you've kind of got 3 Churchills there on the side that you've converted to be the Dieppe ones, so the original ones, and with the filters that came out the back. There's a name for them, and he'd painted on the name of the ones that were there, like Bellicose was one that was actually there, and it went, and so I said, why don't we do Dieppe, right? Because there's going to be armored platoons flying around, and I said it's not a very good one, but it's thematic, right? So he's like, hell yeah, let's do that. So we're going all in on theme. That's the goal, right? Are we going to win? We might win a couple of surprise games, but it's the fun. Actually, I'm looking forward to just explaining the display board and what it is than anything else, right? So
that's awesome.
That's good. So we're looking forward to that. But Derek, you're doing 1st Special Service Forces and
Royal Canadian Dragoons support. Yeah.
Ooh.
So Sean's, we've figured out where the Canadians, where the 1st Special Service Force were in the line, where the Canadians were supporting them. And the Royal Dragoons were there because last time I was talking to you, I really want to play my Staghounds. I had a Staghound list in Flames of War, and then that died with the new edition that came out, so I couldn't play them. I don't know what it is about that armored car. It's a piece of shit, but I love it. I absolutely love that car. So I've got 3 of those, and then I'm bringing Universal Carrier and Flamer and the Foo, because the First Special Service Force is more in the American book, so their free unit is the Air Observer or something. So it was like a choice. So we went with that. And Sean's mocking up right now. As far as I know, he's deep into the build. He's building a cliffside. So the First Special Service Force is coming down the cliff, and the Royal Dragoons are driving up a road around the side of the cliff as they assault their first assault. Not Matessa, but there was one before that they assaulted through a mountain pass that nobody thought they would get through. So
Wow.
that's ours. Yeah, I have them around here somewhere. Where's there? They are.
What model are you using for your Staghound?
The Staghound.
Oh,
You have
or
to do
who
right.
made it?
Oh,
Who made it?
it's a 3D print that I got
Okay.
off.
Yeah,
You can't
because
see
I
it, Eric.
What's that?
the
Were you showing it to the camera?
I'm showing it to the wrong.
There we go. There we go.
yeah, lovely. No,
Not
the
a very
reason
good camera.
I
There's a lot more. Actually, pretty proud of this paint job, but the camera makes it look just green.
No, the reason I asked, and I couldn't remember if it was out yet, but Rubicon is working on their Staghound kit. Unfortunately, it hasn't been released yet, but in that box, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to have 5 different variants of the Staghound.
Oh yeah,
it's just incredible.
I took the Mark 1 because just because of the time constraints in 43 the Staghounds were the Dragoons had received some. They were already hitting Italy. But the Mark II, the other variants hadn't shown up yet. They don't show up until 44 or 45, and then I think the last 2 variants actually don't show up until they come off the line, but they end up going to Belgium and Israel and the rest of those like after the war places. So yeah, there was only a few came home to Canada. The Dragoons kept theirs. There's a couple here, but the rest all stayed over there. So, and they like I think the Dutch and the Belgians got a bunch of them from Canada because they just were like, yeah, we're not taking them, so keep them. So, yeah, so that's our theme. I can't wait to see the display board that Sean's got going because he's special. And then we got our coins too because we're putting the coins in the display board for the Special Service Force.
Oh, whoa, cool! Like a challenge coin.
Yeah, it's produced by the U.S. Mint. So I bought 2 of them. I don't know if I showed you that. So it's the emblem. So we got 2 of them.
Really cool.
They're going to be on the display. The 2 challenge coins. The big reason I'm a huge Sean loves First Special Service Force. My great uncle was a lieutenant in the First Special Service Force. So it kind of has a place at home for us. So I'm trying to get a picture of him so that we can put that in the historical, like in the little write-up that everybody kind of does. There's going to be a picture of him in uniform. It was actually in the Edmonton Journal about 30 years ago. They did a piece on him, so I've got a good picture.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's all. That is, you really are going all in on theme. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we learned our lesson last time.
Yeah.
We just turned up with this little basic stuff, and now we're like going, yeah, okay, next year we won't be caught out.
Well, I've been to TempleCon, I've been to Adepticon, and I have played War Machine and Hordes. I played 40K for a short period, Flames of War, and I have never been to an event where, like every event you go to, there's that 1 or 2 guys that have got the impressive display board and they've gone all out. But I've never been to an event where over half the field has got everything laid out into theme, into their army, making it look good, making it look like just look amazing. I've never, like, I'm not the greatest painter. Half the time I paint my stuff half painted and then I get bored and move on to another project. The guys always laugh at me because I don't think I've ever put a fully painted army down on the table because I always find something new. I've never been so embarrassed with the ratty paint job that I did that I thought was half decent. When I showed up there, I was like, oh my God. There was another guy playing almost the exact same Finns list as me, and his Finn display board, he had a I think he had a T-34. I can't remember if it was a blown up or if it was part of his army. He had dry ice coming out of the back end of it. It was amazing. And I look at my fins and I'm like, we're supposed to do a display board? Usually it's just, here's my painted army, but no, nobody put just a painted army out. It was a painted army with a whole diorama to go with it. So I'm not going to be embarrassed this year. So I painted up.
Yeah, that was.
And that's what to say to our listeners, and that you've got to have that to go. Like, go, have fun.
Yeah.
Take whatever you've got. Whether it's a canteen tray or whatever. Yeah. Have fun and play. And then if you want to in the future, and you've got something that's aspirational for you to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by no means did anybody make me feel like inferior or anything like that. Everybody just looked at my army and was like, hey, good job. And then you go around and you see the other armies and you're like, yeah, thanks for being nice. But nobody makes you feel inadequate in any way, shape, or form. We had no idea going into this event that it was going to be like that. And this year we're going down guns a-blazing. We're still not the best painters. There's still going to be guys that are going to have way better stuff than us. We don't, I don't. I think we've got a great idea. I think it's going to look cool. Do I think it's going to win any awards? Hopefully, but I don't think I saw what the skill level is down there. It's insane. I love it.
For me, you're touching on, I think, something that makes Adepticon so special. And this was true going all the way back from when I was playing Warhammer Fantasy doubles at Adepticon in 2012.
The painting requirement.
Well, yeah. So first of all, the painting requirement is there, but then you show up just with your army, but you walk into that room and you are completely blown away by, oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
So just showing up at these events, you are just expanding your horizon for what is possible. Because you're absolutely right. No one is walking around going, look at these jokers. They didn't even bring a display board. That's not a thing. No. But everybody is there elevating each other. Yeah. Like, what can I do to push this to the next level? I saw somebody that brought, a display board with a water feature. What? They got water? There's dry ice? There's smoke? Are you kidding me? All right, my gears are already turning for what I want to do for the next year. And that's really an Adepticon thing.
Well, and that's exactly what we took away. Everywhere. That's exactly what we took away from the event.
Our 8-hour journey back was that.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we...
It always is. It always is.
Andrew, do you have... I've got one last question, but before we do, is there anything you want to add? Is there any thoughts that we've maybe missed or anything? Or
No, I mean, I'm just incredibly excited, a little nervous. Both events are sold out. That's 120 players, 6 games, 2 days. I'm hoping I have the endurance. I'm not really entirely sure how I wound up in this position, and I'm very lucky to be able to do what I like to do, which is create an environment for all these players just to show up with these armies, these projects that they've spent so many hours on, and all they want to do is show them off. So if I can create an environment where everybody gets to showcase all of their hard work, then I know that I did my job.
Awesome, well said. And we've been trying to convert people, and there's other groups and other clubs up here in Canada that are on the verge of coming down next year, 2025. Wow. So there's going to be a larger Canadian contingent coming.
So you might have to spread that 40 to 20 tables to 30 tables. I'm just saying.
We'll see how it goes.
For the Canadians. We don't take up much room.
My last question is, what restaurant are you looking forward to going to, or that you are planning to go to, that you like? If you go to Adepticon, you've got to go to this place.
That's an excellent question. It's gonna vary person to person just based on their schedules. Because some folks, and I personally, I think this is a mistake. I've made this mistake where I have overbooked myself for an Adepticon, and you don't realize until it's far too late. This is too much. Hobby seminars, tournaments, just every day, dawn till dusk. Mm-hmm. I think you need to give yourself some breathing room in there. If people have a chance Kuma's Corner, really famous burger joint. It gets crowded, but not so much on the early days. Tom and I went Wednesday night last year, and it was incredible. They always have Adepticon specials. Last year, they were giving out branded dice, and the dice were all sold out like the first day that they were available. So I don't know if they're doing dice again when you order up your burger. But yeah, Kuma's Corner, I really, really recommend. And honestly, anything to get you out of the hotel, I think it's worth doing.
Is it
that
nearby?
There's a Shake Shack across the street, and Shake Shack in between your rounds when time is tight. Just go to Shake Shack, get yourself a chicken sandwich.
Derek, we'll have to do that on our first day because
Yep.
now we don't really registration's so much easier, right? So
Yes.
Hopefully
let's
it
do
will
that.
be. We're not available. We don't get the mail because
You don't, but I think pretty much every single person in the United States paid the $12 to get it shipped. So I think there's going to be like 22 people in line to get badges, and you will be
21
and you
of
will
them are
be two
Canadian.
of them. Yeah, the Canadian or the Brits that are coming in to take over Golden Demon. So
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
very much so.
Andrew, it's been a pleasure. Love having you on. I think we might have to make it a tradition, and when we get to season 3, we might have to get
Love
you
it.
in to do that one as well.
let's do it.
But yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you both. Excited to see both of you in just a couple months here. What do we got? Like 70 something days, maybe even less than that.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it
69,
was
70,
69. Yeah, I
yeah.
think we're 69 or we're
All right,
below
I got
70.
a lot-
'Cause I think it was the other
Got a
day.
lot of work to do.
Yeah,
I gotta get back to painting.
yeah, me too.
Okay, thank you, and thank you very much. And back to the show, and we're back as
Here we go.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview. We did. It's a lot of fun, and it's the second time we've had him on, and always have a great time. And we're looking forward to go seeing him down in Adepticon.
He's one of those guys that you wish lived in the area so you could play him on a regular basis because he's just that fun guy.
It is that fun guy, yeah. Just before we kind of wrap up and move into hobby plans and stuff, we did want to talk briefly about Operation Catapult, which was the tournament that Dice Hosers hosted with Testimonies last year. It was our first bolt action tournament, and all the guys were there. Kevin was there as our honorary filler, so he was on hand to help, and and he's already gone and got his Operation Catapult title there. So over the 3 rounds, 2.5 hours, it was pretty close in the end, in how it went. It was won by well, I'll go kind of reverse order for some of it. So we had a player in last place. We had 16 players, excluding Kevin, our spare player. And we had in 50th place Matt Everson. He got the Back to Basics trophy, which was basically go back to basic training, and you need to improve your bolt action game. We had Kyle Chapman, who's a friend of ours, our Dice Hoser in Training initiate, who's joining. So he was in 10th with his Soviets. Then we had Sean in 9th with his Italianos. And he won his first game. Yay!
I did. Thanks.
Then moving up into 8th was Matt with his Canucks. You took the Canucks, right?
Whoops.
Oh no. What did you take, Matt?
I take that. I forget.
I thought it was Canadians.
Holy...
They're down as allies, so it must be Canadian.
Yeah, it was the Canadian.
Yeah, it must have been Canadians then.
Then, all the way up, we had 6th place was the best minor player, which was Andrew Crawford. 4th place was Daniel Kratzer, who won Best Painted. Daniel Kratzer is a German that's moved to Canada. His armies are always beautifully painted.
Oh, he was amazing.
He had a beautifully painted Soviet army.
He
Great
had some
guy to
tough
play.
competition, though.
He did have some tough competition. It actually came down to, it was by 1 point where he beat Tony, who had also a Soviet army, and it was 39 to 38 points. That's how
Man,
close
Tony,
it was.
great player, great painter. He should be kicked.
Yeah. Evan actually made the list of best painted. He was on that, in the 7 people that received points for scoring. So Daniel Kratzer, German, strong German accent, is a very fun guy. Actually, very unusual for a German. He has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And is a great player, great painter, and is fun. In third place, and with the best Axis player, and he's already showed you, was Derek Gibson, our very own Dice Hoser.
I'm more showing this not because I'm trying to brag, but these were the posters or similar posters that we got
Rick, just
for
turn it a bit. The light's catching it.
we got for this, and it was absolutely. I would play in every tournament and be happy if I just got this, if I won. We had this for best minor, best axis, best allied, and an overall general, and they're all different. I wish I could show you all, but I can't. I only won the one, thankfully, because this is what I was bragging about in the last episode when we were talking about it. I thought these were amazing, and
Yeah, so it was great to have Derek go up there. Then we had Tony with his Soviets, who won the best allied player. And then overall was, with the best field marshal, was Robert Shoering with his, what did Robert have?
And he play his Australians.
I think his Australians, yeah. So
I didn't get to play him. Tony and I had to play in the second round, and that pretty much kicked us both out of contention.
yeah, and if you look at Australians, so Australians you can't have technically as a generic reinforced platoon.
No, you can't.
They don't have one. But we were playing Juggernaut rules, which allows you to pick from any force really. And I think it's great to have different armies out there, and the Australians are a fun army to.
Well,
I think actually
the same could be said with Matt. You can't have Canadians because they don't have Canadian generic.
And actually, if you listen, recently Tabletop Tommies did an episode where they covered the Australians, and it sounds like a fun army to play with.
It does.
Yeah, might have to do that. They could go against your Japanese.
We had a opponent at that tournament too. It was the Partisan Army. I think it was Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were all civilian models and civilian cars, and they all had he named them all. But they had a Stuka-Zu-Fuß with them as well, which always works well against me. If you bring anything like that against me, you're going to do well.
Yeah.
So he had a good couple first rounds firing it off, but it was fun playing against all the partisans because they were just a bunch of civilians. It was pretty.
Bunch of little pistols running at you.
Yeah, it was great. I love that game.
Mark across the board, saw it with a pistol.
We had some good missions. That one was supply drop.
Well, I think it was good for our first tournament, having 16 players, good turnout. I think people had fun. Did you guys have fun? Was it? Enjoy it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very much.
And I discovered one block up the best rib place I've ever found. It's a chicken and rib barbecue joint. The guy who runs it is hilarious. He's closed right now for January. I got to go back there, but it was just amazing food.
I'll have to do that when we do the doubles.
Yeah, you got to give time to cook it though. He has to get it ready, but it's
Well, we're going to do it.
we could
Have it to go for dinner.
yeah.
Finish at 6
You
o'clock.
can't eat there. You got to take it to go, but yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Anything anyone want to add about Operation Catapult? I think for our first
Are
bolt
we
action,
going to go over our games, or is that too long?
I think probably for this episode, it's a bit long. We're probably going to be clocking in at 2 hours. But I think I definitely would like to do an episode in the future, maybe after the doubles, where we do focus on just that and go over our games.
If that's the case, I want to give a shout out to Tony because I've played Tony once before when I first started out, and he schooled me, but not in a mean way. Like he just knew what he was doing, and he was very informative. And this tournament, I played him in the second round, and we had an amazing game, and I managed to tie him, which in my book feels like a win. And I look forward to future games with him. I feel like now I can actually challenge him a little bit, which is measuring stick for anybody. Like I said, he's a great player and he can paint. It's not fair. And
I played him 3 times and lost 3 times against Tony.
yeah, I managed to show him a new trick, and I'm not looking forward to him using it against me. My first player, I also want to give a shout out to, because, and I wrote his name down, but that was like almost 2 months ago now. He was a new player. This was like game number 5 for him. An easy win, not in the sense just because he was new. Like, as much as I tried to help him in a tournament situation, like there was a lot of like, you really don't want to do that, you should probably do this. And in no way was it terrible for him. He managed to survive a Japanese charge with his airborne and clean my clock, which really surprised me because I'm so used to yelling bonsai. Wish I yelled a lot. Then just with Fanatics beating, and he just clubbed me to death, which was an eye opener for me. But I really hope he sticks with the game because he was a fun opponent. He took the criticisms and the hints with a lot of decorum, and I think he had a fun time. Like I said, it was unfortunately a kind of a one-sided game, but that was more because deployment on his side. I didn't know he was a beginning player. So when he first started deploying, that was kind of my first clue, but it was too late at that point. And but it was amazing. And then my last opponent was just, a typical dick.
He is still playing. I'm in a group chat with him and the guys from out there, and he is still getting his army together and everything.
All right.
So
Do you know his name? Do you know his name?
I'll get it off the chat.
Okay. I was just wanted to shout out his name. Like I said, I wrote it down because I specifically wanted to shout out and hope that would encourage him to keep playing, because he was a fun opponent, and that's what you look for in this game. Is I don't care if I win or lose. Unless it's Tony, I want to have a good game. And
was this your first game?
I had 3 good games.
Was it game 1?
Game 1, yes.
You played Nathaniel M.
Nathaniel. That was...
No, it was the second game for you, I think.
Nathaniel Murty with Germans.
Nope.
Because I played him the first game, Derek played him the second game.
Well, not according to what you handed in, you didn't. Hold on. Derek G played Nathaniel M on round 1.
No, he played round 2.
Oh, am I thinking round 2?
Yes.
Round 2.
It's so last year for you, Derek.
Yeah.
Round 2.
So did Derek get third place with
played
Fanatics?
Tony. And then round 3 played Matthew Stewart.
No, my first game was against a guy that played Airborne. So I played the wrong guy?
That's the result sheet.
That's
Asterisks.
Okay, can we put an asterisk beside his plaque now?
Asterix.
Give that back.
Well, if I played the wrong guy, somebody else played the wrong guy too.
I know the guy you're talking about because I played him, and he was good.
He played British Airborne.
Yeah, and it was a fun game. It was good.
It was a fun game.
Just
I knew he was I kind of figured he was a beginner player after deployment, and then when I looked at because I didn't really look at his army list. I saw the
Nathaniel, who had a British list of some sort.
Yeah, British Airborne. Okay, I thought you said German a second ago. That's why I was all confused.
He did.
He did. Okay. Yeah, he was British.
We are getting old though, so.
Yeah. Okay. So Nathaniel, British Airborne. I look forward to playing again because he grasped a lot of the concepts really quickly. Unfortunately, in one game, that's not enough to turn a game around. But I think he will be an up and rising player to look forward to playing in the future.
Well, let me just see where he came at the very end of it. 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if that's his first.
I was kind of wishing he was dead last so he'd get the Wooden Spoon Award. Not in a mean way, just because dead last usually get a nice big prize, but he didn't, which is good. I mean, it shows that he went on for the rest of the games to play well, which I'm happy for him.
Yeah, because he won his last game, so
Nice.
yeah, against Kevin.
Oh well,
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And the
No,
TA was a
Daniel,
total douchebag. So.
What was that?
So the TA was a douchebag.
Yeah.
Don't know who that guy was.
At least Tista was nice.
Yeah, Tista was good, and the pizza hot. But there was more than enough pizza. I think we sent people home with pizza.
We're the only ones that ever do food and drink included in any tournament, like anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else does that.
No. Well, we'll keep it easy. So, quick look at Operation Catapult. We'll talk about Operation Claymore. So I'm going to create all these events with Operation C in there. But they are real operations, so I'm just going through the British book.
For the second season?
Sorry?
Shouldn't it be
B for the
Bravo
second season?
for the second season of the
No.
podcast?
I'll just do what the British do, which is weird, eclectic, unusual stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you mean tournament black coffee mug?
Yeah. Coffee. Hobby plans then, Derek. This is your part.
I'm so hobby plans. I think everybody's trying to finish up for Adepticon, so we're probably continuing on that. Except for Sean, because
Four of
he's
us,
like
some of us
Mr.
got
Prolific.
shot.
Oh yeah, we've lost some Adepticon players. We're now only going with 4.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
now only 4 of us, so we're down to 1 car ride, extremely packed vehicle. Question for you guys that are coming: did anybody go for the VIP bag?
I did.
Yeah.
You get it?
Okay.
I haven't heard. So I don't know.
I got it.
Oh, you did get it? You got a note?
No, I paid the money and I got.
Oh,
one of
that's
the-
right. You get it. It wasn't a draw this year. So I got it. You got it.
It's just random what's in it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we got 2
Oh,
VIP
you got one
bags and
bigger.
2 no. So hobby plans. Let's start with the guys that we kind of know what to expect. Sean, Adepticon, I'm assuming. Because you're not just
So I-
playing bolt action, you're playing something else too, aren't you?
Absolutely. I signed up for Shatterpoint. And I've just finishing up my last box of Shatterpoint, which is these Princess Amidala and
Her
dudes here.
handmaidens.
We Are Brave, Your Highness box set. But February 15th, there's like 4 more boxes coming out, and 2 of them are Ewoks. So I'm going to see about maybe painting 1 or 2 of those up for Shatterpoint.
Nice.
I have to, I don't know. There's 5 boxes coming out. Plo Koon, Vader, Skywalker, and 2 Ewok boxes. So I got to figure out what I'm going to bring to Adepticon from that batch, because I want to play some fun stuff. You bring 4 squads, so that's 8 models, 16 models that you
Yeah.
bring. 4 squads of 4 or 3, and then you have to play each one once. So I'll
cool.
figure out that, but I will have more painting to do there. I still have to paint the weapons team that's sitting in your possession right now. We'll be in Burlington at the end of February to pick it up, and then I'll get that. I need those weapon teams for the 1st Special Service Forces because it's got the.
I could drop those off if you want. I might have to make a trip out to St. Catharines. If I do, I'll drop it in your mailbox.
I'm here 24/7 for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, none of this.
That's right.
No dice rolling.
So I got that done. So that'll finish the bolt action stuff for Adepticon. I haven't figured out what I'm bringing to the BattleTech tournament yet. I don't know if I'm going to bother trying to make a list or just bring fun stuff again. Last year I brought fun stuff. I played some lists that were still fun, but they were lists. They were a combination of, they were either missile boats at the back with spotters, or they were guys riding on mechs and then hopping off the mechs and hosing you down with flamethrowers. And then vehicles and jets and airplanes and helicopters, and so there was some of that going on that also looked like a lot of fun. Got to figure out what I'm going to do for the BattleTech tournament that day.
That's the short rules, not the long armor.
Yeah, it's the Alpha Strike tournament, right? Yeah. There's 2 Alpha Strike tournaments, and there's 1 or 2 of the full version. There's 1 or 2 of those tournaments as well, plus a whole bunch of events. There are so many BattleTech and Shatterpoint events crammed into those days. I'm blown away by the amount of content that they've got for these really old game and this really new game. So, and then teams, of course, I'll be ready for with that. And then Sunday, I'm just doing, I'm playing a scenario again, another Black Powder scenario. So I don't need anything for Sunday. So hobby-wise, it'll just be that as my priority, though I'm slowly painting through a pile of orcs I got over there, too.
Nice.
Getting through them. One day I'll get back to Age of Sigmar. It'll be like April.
I'm going to put a bookend in this and ask Kevin, we haven't seen you in a while, so what have you been doing? What's your hobby in?
I've been working on 800 different things all at once.
Sounds like
trying to finish off all my German stuff so it's all done and complete and I can forget about it and move on to my British Airborne. But I've also been tasked. My nephews found a tank at my cousin's place in a box that they want built. And so it was tasked to me. So now I've got this 135th scale Panther with a gazillion pieces and photo etch and stuff that I've got to put together for them.
Yeah.
Because they want it and they're kids. So
and you can't say no to kids.
And you forgot to paint up for June all the Waterloo buildings I gave you.
Yeah.
I thought I had to finish Stalingrad before that.
No, you need to paint up Waterloo now.
Jesus. Because Stalingrad is coming along. As soon
as the Stalingrad's ready, I'll take it and we'll play with it. But
no,
June,
it's not finished.
June is when we're going to play the big mega battle, Waterloo battle.
Oh no, that's
we're doing it with just a battalion each. But
what about the American Civil War? You want me to finish that? Those after Waterloo?
Yeah, after Waterloo.
You know what?
Squirrel.
Technically, yes. Wait, I'm trying to think of the dates. Waterloo did take place before the American Civil War.
Yes.
Yeah.
50 years, yeah.
Chronologically, we got to go Waterloo, the American Civil War, Stalingrad.
No, I don't need to do anything with the American Civil War. Matt, what are you doing?
No, we can skip that. Finish up Adepticon. So Canadians are almost done, except for basing, which has me really nervous at the moment. Doing the water effects for the beach landing. This could really fuck everything up if I mess it up. So
you got 7 weeks.
Do some practice.
I'm procrastinating. It's like, well, I have, but I keep procrastinating. It's like, well, I'm not in the right frame of mind tonight, so I'll work on Germans. I'll make another list. I'll do this and that. But I really got to get it done because then I'm probably going to have to build my son's Japanese for the doubles tournament because he's dragging his feet on it. Typical kid. But he really wants to play in it. So worst case, backup plan, we'll just play the Canadians that we play at Adepticon.
Hey, weren't you supposed to go and pick him up?
Well, if Sean reaches me,
my wife. That was only if my wife. Yeah, she was able to get him.
I looked at the time. I'm like, wait a minute.
Matt, if Sean pitches me as a partner for that doubles, I might be able to step in and play Japanese with your son. Because I have
right. No, so he's planning on playing Japanese, and I was going to do some Germans to keep the Axis thing.
Yeah, because we all know they played together.
Evan,
Evan, what have you been doing?
Hobby stuff, not all that much. I'm about to start painting some NKVD to help out for your guys' Adepticon, the big game on Sunday.
Oh, I
the
can
one
give
that
you some if you want.
No, it's fine.
Nobody wants to help the non-painter. Everybody wants to help the painters. I see how it works.
Yeah, and then been finishing off some Canadians. I realized today I've still got some metal figures to assemble for the Canadians, which I don't really like metal figures, but anyway, that's just me. So
Nice. So just so everybody knows, Kevin and Evan are not coming to Adepticon.
Regrettably.
They've unfortunately had some issues come up where they won't be able to get away. Evan's got a new job, and Kevin's just painting Panthers for his nephews.
Yes.
Craig, what's your hobby time for looking like?
Soviets. I just got to paint everyone else's Soviets. For not everyone's, but
You can have mine.
I've got more than enough. I've got to paint 3, 5, like 7 squads of Soviet infantry, full months, so like some 80 models.
Yeah.
For the big battle, and out of that I've designed 1,000-point list that I can use in a tournament. So yeah, just Soviets at this point, but then it will last. My aim is to try and use Soviets in 2024. That's my goal. But then probably the thing is, I came up with that idea the other day for next year's Adepticon with the with Arnhem Bridge.
Yes, I remember you talking about that.
And I'm already thinking about that. So I'm like, oh, well, sounds awesome.
So last year was 40, 42, 41, 42?
No, 39.
39 to 42.
39 to 42.
39,
And this year
41.
was 42 to 43. So we're assuming next year is going to be 43 to 44. So we're already, because we're pretty much finished this year's stuff. We know what we're doing. So we're already planning for next year's. So just so anybody knows how disappointed we'll be if we turn out and it's not 43, 44.
Yeah.
It'll be, you know what it'll be? It'll be Pacific Theater.
No, they don't limit by theater. They just limit by date.
Yeah, I mean, he's right, though. They theoretically could do something like that. But I'm hoping we've got version 3 by then, so we start again.
Yes.
But, yeah, so Soviets, my Blood Red Skies is already painted for the tournament. So, yeah, Soviets, Conrad.
All right.
And while you guys are away, we're having a mini Adepticon, myself and Evan. And
Kyle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kyle. That's right.
I myself, I'm, believe it or not, I'm finishing up. Well, it's not, believe it or not, finishing up my stuff for Sean and my double stuff. That's not a problem. I'm still at a loss as to what I want to play at Combat Patrol. I might default to my Americans because they're already painted. I might default to the Soviets because they will be painted. I'm kind of looking at the Japanese because it would be interesting because they have... so Adepticon, a Combat Patrol is a limited... It's kind of a reduced generic platoon. 480 points, 8 dice max. And you can make some... Or 450? 480?
Yeah,
450. You can make some interesting lists. No vehicles over 7+. So I'm really thinking about spamming my my militia, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence with what I want to do with that. And then the rules just came out for the singles, which I know you guys are doing Blood Red Sky, but I'm going to do the singles, which is 1250. They're saying bring a super tank. Evan, I didn't tell you this, but we figured out what the rules were for the extra dice. If you get, it's 1250. If you bring a super heavy or a heavy, I think it's anything 10+, which is like not many armies have. It's basically the Soviets and the Germans. You get an extra dice. it takes 2 dice to activate your heavy, but basically the first dice you use to activate it, you just pull the second dice out of the bag. So it gives you more tactical presence to do
You
that.
don't, it's not like we thought we were worried that you'd have to wait.
Wait until the second die came.
Yeah.
So it's not. That it's interesting, but the armies I play, the U.S. and the Japanese, I don't really have a 10 plus tank.
Jumbo Sherman.
Yeah, but it's still it's still a medium a tank gun, whereas guys are bringing their Tigers are super heavy.
You'd have to have a Pershing or a Super Pershing.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's I was looking at them, but I don't know if I really want to buy them. I've asked if they're going to use case blue. He's now reevaluating that, and if he does do case blue, then I've already ordered 2 Tigers, and I'm going to do Hungarians. What everybody like, Craig's talked about it. I've talked about it. The Juggernauts, Toph has already played it a couple of times. So it was enough that it piqued my interest. Recce Recce taggers are a thing. And the interesting thing is you get a second die to get those Recce taggers going. So that's interesting. Excuse me. So I'm kind of up in the air for both of those lists, which means I might be painting on the way to Adepticon. Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. And
So you get 2 Tigers?
the Hungarians in their generic platoon get what's called Axis support. So you get a tank from the Germans. Now it can't be veteran. It can only be an inexperienced or regular. So I'll have 1 regular, and I have the option of a veteran Hungarian Tiger. But I think points wise, I'm just going to go with 2 regular. I don't see the point of having a veteran tank. I know you don't want inexperienced tanks because pins and whatnot, but I just don't see the point of having a veteran tank.
So then, with these rules, do you get 2 extra dice, or
I would have 2 extra dice? Yeah, but they still count towards your max amount of dice. But with the with the amount of points that Tigers cost, I have more than enough room for those 2 dice. And I'm really looking forward to painting the 2 Tigers. I have one from Flames of War that. I can see his name, but I can't think of it. But he painted one that was Spud.
Oh, Spud.
He made me a not made me, but I got the Hello Kitty Tiger. And I'm tempted to paint one of the Hungarian Tigers Hello Kitty.
What about the Christmas one?
And no,
Santa Claus.
Just Hello Kitty, because Tiger tanks the cat's kitty. I just think it'd be funny showing up with a neon.
That was so well painted too.
It was, and if I could copy it,
that was awesome.
That'd be the awesome thing, is to have a Hello Kitty tank on the table. But I might just do it anyways, regardless of whether he uses the Hungarian rules or not. You won't get the Recce on it, but I'll still have 2 Tigers on the table.
Well, just to clarify, if you go with the regular Hungarians, they get Axis support, which allows you to have the German Tigers.
Yes.
If you go with the case blue, it's Hungarian Tigers, and you no longer get Axis support because they replace the rules with the Recce Tigers.
Oh, so you don't get... Yeah, you'd only have 1. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that through. You're right.
So you could still have 2 Tigers if the list, if depending on how the list is, and they would both be Recce Tigers and they would be Hungarian.
Yeah, so I'll have to look at the lists again to see how that would work. I might only end up with 1 because I don't know. It's a generic platoon.
Right. So it's probably 1.
So I don't know how he'd rule it, but either way, it's just all those interesting things you can do, and it's kind of like getting down to brass tacks of picking one, and I kind of want to do something new. I know the singles tournament isn't a very competitive, like, I don't think it's competitive. I love Jay. He's a nice guy, but I don't think the tournaments run half as well as the Chicago Dice tournaments are, which is unfortunate. So it's kind of like a blow off steam game for me. I don't really care what I place or how I do. I just want to go and have fun. So I want to bring something interesting, new, and do something different. I don't want to bring this is my army and I gotta show what I can do with it. I just want to bring a fun, because after combat and doubles, it's just going to be a relaxing game for me.
Combat Patrol is really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
It was-
Yeah,
it was-
that's-
All right. So that's what I've got for my hobby plans. Craig, you want to take us out of here? I'm sure everybody's tired of listening to us babble on.
Yeah. So that's our show for tonight. So the next episode, we are going to be, for Tactical Focus, looking at armored cars in bolt action and how they play and work and do we use them. Then we're interviewing our two, well, definitely one, maybe two of our American friends.
Dave Brody and Schmid. I can't remember Schmid's first name.
And we'll talk to them as we're playing. Dice Hosers will be playing. So basically, it's Team Canada versus Team USA. We're the Soviets. Just, I don't know, maybe because we've got Justin Trudeau as our leader. And then they're Germans.
Because they got Trump. Or at the decision-making time, it was Trump.
That's right. And we're playing the Battle of Commissar's House in Stalingrad. So that's going to be a big battle that we're playing. So we're going to talk to them about that.
Because he's made the board. He's made a 12x4 board for this. And some of the pictures are insane that he sent us.
yeah.
So we'll post some pictures on our Facebook and our website. Also, we'll talk to him. He's got some real World War II vehicles that he does, and he's into reenactment pretty big. So we'll talk to him on that. And then final prep. So our final show before we go to Adepticon. And Operation Claymore, which is the doubles tournament that we'll be talking about that's coming up in April. So that is a full episode today and full episode next month.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us.
And thanks for Andrew for joining us. That was awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to him.
And we will see you after Valentine's Day.
All right.
Au revoir.
For those of you watching the stream, you have to now listen to the podcast.
We started?
Yep.
The shit's real?
The shit is